coach. Yeah, yeah,
That's right.
yeah,
Basically helping guys with confidence, motivation, mental health. And that's what you were saying. It's really
yeah,
cool to see the boys
yeah, man.
having the courage to talk about it openly.
100%. That alone, you know what I mean? I think that alone shows so much growth, man. I mean, like, they'll obviously attest it for themselves, but just that alone is, I always applaud that, man, because I don't think people realize how much courage it takes to really talk about not even just their journey and what they went through with you in that, when they go away with you and stuff, but more so just coming out and actually talking and about, and sharing their emotions as well. You know what I mean? Guys and emotions, bro. It's quite interesting, isn't it? It plays a big
It,
part.
it, it does play a big part. That's a really
Mm,
nice way to say it, Jay, because
mm,
like um I do think the world is changing, man. Like I
mm,
do from what I have seen, I do think people are more open to guys and girls are more open
mm,
to expressing how they feel, which is amazing. I actually do think that the whole thing of like boys not opening up about their emotions, I do think that's actually becoming like an old school thing now.
yeah, yeah,
From what
yeah.
I'm seeing. Like
Mm.
boys when they jump on with me, they especially the younger generation, the ones in their 20s.
That's
Um,
what I was gonna ask you. Is it the younger generation? Yeah. So,
yeah,
yeah.
like usually when guys in their 30s come on, then they're usually saying, DM, I'm struggling. I've never talked about this to anyone before, but blah blah blah. But guys in their 20s, I think as a result of them talking, being able, not feeling the shame of talking about their emotions more, that actually leads them to be more articulate and more self-aware about what's going on because they're able to talk about it a bit more with no
Mm,
shame.
yeah, yeah. And I guess for those men that are probably just going to be like new to it, is new to hearing you speak and what you do, tell a little bit about like, um, I guess just you don't have to go too much into the detail of when you guys kind of go away on your retreats, but talk a little bit about that process, man, because I've never really had you speak about it. I feel like since our last time we spoke, so much has happened, and a lot of even just people being aware of your retreat and what you do, and more testimonials, I think, came out in that period. So it's really good time to catch up with you in that sense. But talk to a little people, talk to people about the retreat and just that process, and what some of these guys go through.
Yeah, look, for everyone watching, I appreciate the question, Jana. Like for
Mm,
everyone watching, basically what I do is I do one-on-one work with guys. There's a lot of private clients that I have, but what I love doing is taking guys away on retreats as a group where together over a course of 2 nights, we work on the internal things that are going on and
mm,
help them get to a place of clarity. So the internal things that are going on are typically issues with feeling motivated about life anymore, feeling confident. Sometimes a lot of guys have a lot of negative self-talk going on. And then sometimes guys are experiencing like mental health issues that, whether they're feeling depressed or anxious or anger issues or think shame, things like that. And going away in the retreat, it's like a platform where you connect and speak to other guys. Obviously, there's a very facilitated process that I take
mm,
them through at a high level. uh, on the Friday night, we basically do like a reflection process to kind of just go, hey, man, honestly, this is where I'm at so far. This is the good, the bad, and the ugly about who I am. And I remember specifically, bro, like at the last retreat that we did, there was a guy that like he resisted me so much when I said I was working with him one on one because he was so concerned about his privacy. And towards the end of that, I said, bro, um, like, please trust me. Like, you trusted me so far and I haven't led you astray. I promise, come with me to the retreat. And he came, bless him. And on the Friday night, um, I saw he was just shaking in his boots. Like, God bless him, right? This guy was completely shaking because he was about to divulge as like a secret that he had like kind of kept to himself for the last like 10 years. And kind of on the surface, everyone knew him as one type of guy, and he's got like a really nice job and all these things. But like in terms of what's going on underneath, there was a lot of bad habits that he had going on underneath that he didn't
mm.
want to, admit. And no one does, right? You were talking about confronting your demons. Like I respect anyone who would do anything like that. And for him, he he gets up there and he goes, I didn't actually think he was going to say the full thing, to be honest, you
Yeah.
know, because I wasn't trying to pressure him that much. But
Yeah.
yeah, he stands up and he goes, guys, this is what's going on.
Yeah.
These are the bad habits that I've been indulging in with behind closed
Give
doors. No
me
one knows that I do it.
give me 1 second, bro.
All right,
Yeah,
cool.
so you're sorry, bro. Sorry to interrupt you. But yeah, so we were basically up to the bit that where he was pretty much standing up and you were saying you were thinking he wasn't going to say
Say
basically
everything he was
say
about to
everything he would
say.
say. Yeah, yeah. So go
Yeah.
on. Yeah.
So yeah, this is the first component of the retreat, right? As I was going to explain, there's 5 components. The first component, the Friday night, is all about reflection
Mm,
and just kind of owning up to yourself about where you're at currently in life, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
mm,
And a lot of us don't, like, I totally get it. A lot of us don't want to confront what's going on underneath. We don't want to confront the fact that we do have some bad habits. And a
mm,
lot of us are not conscious of the implications of having those bad habits. So, for example, like, yeah, I'm smoking weed all the time, or yeah, like I've got I'm gambling, or yeah, I've, I'm using sex workers, or got a porn addiction, or just fucking just being, sorry to swear. Oh, well, it's you. I
yeah,
can swear.
come on, brother.
Oh boy.
Come on,
I
man.
forgot where
It's
I am.
into
I'm
it's
home.
it
I'm
it's
home,
it
baby.
it's into the deep, baby. Don't worry, man.
Thanks for having me, man. I'm back home.
We don't have no parental guidance, you know, those little stickers and shit, man. Everything's
But
yeah, it's open world,
thank
bro.
you,
Open
man.
season,
I
you
feel
know, bro.
it
Come on.
is open season.
Yeah.
I've been used to going on a lot of other podcasts where
Yeah,
I've
I
had to
know, man, but yeah.
keep straight the narrow, but this is the
Yeah,
real
nah,
thing,
this is
man.
that. Yeah, this is yeah. Come on, man.
Thank you, man.
Nah,
Like,
go.
and
Nah.
just honestly, because and sometimes the reason I do swear, bro, is because we're doing the real thing here, man. Like,
Yeah, man.
yeah, we're not pretending to be anyone to anyone, and the most therapeutic thing that we do at the retreats is, like, it's the real face that's
Mm,
going into these retreats, and often, man. Yeah, as I was saying, we don't want to admit that we've got, like, a lot of bad habits, but
mm,
it's number one, it's important to admit, like, hey, man, what's going on? Yeah, cool. I know that I'm leaving money on the table at work. I know I'm not kind of pushing myself as hard as I would. I don't know why, but I know I'm not. And I'd rather do coke and drink on the weekends than confront what's going on. But the thing is, the damage that does long term is it does cost the boys, and the guys who are coming to me are typically in their 30s because they've had enough years of their bad habits costing them basically money, like costing them opportunities at work, or issues in their relationship, or this or that, and then they're like, man, it's costing me more than it's worth, and for that reason, like, I've got to, like, confront this thing. And basically, man, to go back to the story of this guy,
mm.
he he just kind of stood up there on the first night, shaking in his boots, and he goes, boys, listen, I've never told anyone this, but basically, I've had this addiction to sex workers and to porn and to drugs, and you were so beautiful. You look around the room, no one flinched a bit. No one
Damn,
flinched a bit.
man. That's heavy. Yeah.
Everyone was like, yeah. He just said the most heaviest thing, that he's been holding back. He's got this nice shiny career. Everyone thinks of him as XYZ, and as he said it, there was not a single drop of judgment in the room. Everyone was just like
Mm.
waiting for him to keep talking. And you could see he's paused because he was expecting more of a reaction because he had been judging himself so much. And when he said that and no one flinched, it was like he dropped a 20-kilo backpack, man. It was
Fuck.
just like,
Yeah.
man, like, so, bro, that's the first night.
Yeah.
And
Damn, man.
it's so good, man, because
Yeah.
once, I mean, it's just facilitation of the boys' inner power. It's not really me giving them something. All I'm doing is taking them through, like, a couple of steps on a journey. It's really the boys' inner potential coming out for itself.
Mm.
And so the Saturday morning, dude, like, you would know, like, I do yelling, shaking their body, like really using their body to let out whatever's pent up inside. And when you do that, it kind of creates like a really zen like place of clarity after you do that, because you've kind of just let it all out. It's a bit like a really solid gym or a really solid boxing session, you know, to use you as an example. Like, you know, like on a personal note, Jay, like I feel like so privileged because like I got to watch you make a beautiful whatever you want to call it 10-year transformation or whatever it was from when I first saw you to now, as you got to watch me make my own transformation. And like I feel like some really beautifully pivotal parts of your journey, but this is just your opinion, and I'm sure you have more to add than this. But two really beautiful parts that I observed with you, Jana, was like you had your like rap stuff, and I saw like because the rap had like such a great, it gave such a great outlet for you to express what was going on inside. I literally just saw beautiful lightness on your face. Like, you know, I saw you just like a lotus, like just unfolding. It was just beautiful, man. And then you took it to the next level with kickboxing. And I was like, man, like, and you just, I saw you feel, I feel like you transformed into a different person because you found a, like a positive outlet to let it out and transmute that into something that was constructive. And basically, that's
Thank
what
you,
I'm
bro.
trying to.
Yeah,
No, for real, on the real,
yeah,
man. That's what I really
appreciate
saw
it.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to create for the boys, man.
yeah,
So like the Saturday morning. Shall I keep going
yeah,
with the
100%.
retreat?
Yeah, 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 go
Okay.
for it. Yeah, yeah.
So
It's your
basically,
platform
man.
there too, baby. Don't worry,
Go,
man.
go.
Hey, it's a partnership when we come together, man. Come on,
Bless
man.
you.
Yeah.
Okay, man. I feel like I'm the Aubrey Marcus to your Joe Rogan, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm like the
yeah,
repeat guest.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
that's
it,
always
man.
lucky enough to come.
100%, bro. Yeah.
Thanks, man. Oh well. So on the Saturday morning, doing that kind of crazy dynamic meditation gives them a kind of like a snippet of that outlet that I'm kind of referring to, and then that creates like a lot of internal opening for them to go, wow, I've just exposed my real face to myself. I've just let out all the inner gunk. And now I'm like, I'm open to looking inward to who I really am inside, what I really care about, what I really want to do. Because I just don't care about anyone. Like, I don't care about what the world thinks about me anymore, right? Like, right now, I just want to, like, I want to see who I am, you know? And it's so beautiful to see the boys look into themselves and go, wow, this is what I like. This is what I want to create for my next 10 years. Like, these are my values. And basically, man, kind of by that Saturday morning, you've kind of given the boys an experience of who they've been till now versus who they really are inside. And it creates like a tension because they're like, whoa, this is who I really am. Why haven't I been doing it? And so then we do basically like an intervention phase of the retreat where either it's one-on-one with me or it's like with the group, whatever's appropriate to help them make the breakthrough that they need to come closer to who they really are inside. That's what this is really about in the end. And that's why a lot of my boys, like at the end of the retreat, they just go, dude, I feel like you've given me. I feel like you've helped me come back to who I really am. And I think that's where all the beauty is. Like, and I think that's why people find, you know, I found you inspirational, Jay. Like when I first met you, when you were 18, putting Tupac songs into the karaoke at UTS. What I liked about him, man, and I think what drew me to you
I
from the
remember that
jump,
night like it was
it
yesterday,
was a
bro.
great night, man. It was a great night.
I remember the waiter, the guy working there. Man, he was getting the
Yes.
shits with me that night,
Yeah, you were
man.
getting tagged, bro. You were getting
Yeah,
tagged.
bro. People were getting annoyed because their song ended up being on the queue the whole time. But yeah, man, I
Yes,
had like, I think California Love on repeat and I just
you did.
kept chucking money in. And so that they had to wait. It got played like 6, 7 times. Yeah. Anyway,
And it was a
yeah.
party, man. It was a great night. I
It was a
still
good night.
remember it, man.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
What I think the draw with you, dude, and probably with a lot of people you interviewed, dude, is they're not afraid to be themselves, and you know we're all on that journey of just unpeeling the layers and allowing us to like accept ourselves and be ourselves, and that's a very um like it's a very magnetic thing. When we can just accept ourselves and be ourselves, because then we judge other people less. There's a lot more power flowing through us. You kind of the things that you're doing with your life, you enjoy it more, so you do better in them and you perform better. And yeah, it's a beautiful thing, man. So Yeah, man, like
Yeah.
reflecting, going in deep, doing the interventions, and then going, okay, cool, it's game time. Like, how do we go execute this? And then after the kind of before the retreat, bro, I pretty much work with the boys one on one to help clear a lot of the internal stuff. We do the retreat, and then afterwards we have like a 6 week kind of accountability and support program because like a lot of these like seminars and things, like a lot of people go to them and they get like a mad high and then like give it 3 weeks, they're back to their old
Yeah,
patterns, you know?
which is interesting because I see that. I see you do that, man, which is which like hasn't gone like unnoticed is you meet up, you guys all meet up, down the track as well. And I, obviously see your gram and stuff. And I see that, which I think is awesome, man. And I think it would mean a lot to the guys in the retreat and the people that have gone through it, whether it's the same retreat or previous retreat, just to be able to communicate with each other. And, I dare say like, I could just tell by looking that it's something that they would really appreciate and value as well.
Thanks, man. Like this is something, again, another reason that you and me were good friends, like over our 20s, was because overall it is hard to find growth-minded people, like I
Mm.
personally found. And because I really did struggle with that, and I had to do um, like flying around the world, spending tens of thousands of dollars on different courses to get more exposed to this work. Because that was a big pain point for me. That's what I'm trying to do my bit to cultivate within Sydney, like creating a beautiful growth community within this, which are not, these guys are not sharky. They're not like, they're just honest. They're honest about where they're at, and they are growth minded, which I love. So, man, thank you for recognizing that.
Nah, that's dope, man. And
Thanks, man.
when they like, do they get in touch with you? Like they get in touch, like they obviously get exposed to what you're doing, or they found out through friends what you do, and they approach you about joining the retreat, or is it a
Yeah,
matter of you connecting with them through you putting out marketing like about the retreat, or putting it out through social media, things like that?
look, yeah, man, like I try to share the message as much as I can. I must tell you, like social media and all that stuff is not my strong suit. Like I
Mm,
just want to, I like Mary, if you were to look at my calendar, it's freaking packed because
mm.
I work with guys in the US and the UK as well. So their
Right.
evening is our daytime. So
Yeah.
like my calendar, bro, is like, it's like
Yeah,
I'm
that's
just doing
amazing in
hardcore.
the UK and US too, bro. You
Yeah,
just like randomly
yeah.
drop that on the slide there, man. That's awesome, man. So what, you guys get online like Zoom, similar to Zoom?
Pretty much, yeah,
Yeah,
because like I have like a standalone one-on-one program that I do with the
yeah,
boys anyway before the retreat.
yeah,
The retreat is more about, the retreat is really good for the camera
yeah,
because we're not going to film like a Zoom session as such.
yeah.
But but like some of the testimonials you've seen, they're only from guys that I've worked with one-on-one.
Yeah, gotcha.
Like
Yeah,
I reckon the most recent testimonial that you might have
yeah,
seen, I think you even commented on it.
yeah,
Like I had only worked with him one on one, and
yeah.
because some people are not um, either geographically not available for the retreat or they're not,
Yeah.
like
Do you find that a bit challenging with doing it doing it through Zoom and things with people internationally, like as opposed to having them right there and present? Like,
oh, dude, you know what? Even the boys here in Sydney, if it's one on one, I kind of insist on doing it on Zoom.
okay.
Sincerely, the reason being is
Yeah.
because number one, they get to record it. They get to record it so they can play it back later. Number two, we get to use the whiteboard. It's so easy with Zoom. Number three, we do guided meditations and stuff as part of it because I use something called timeline therapy,
Yeah.
and it's actually like way easier to do that when we're doing like what we're doing now, as
Mm.
opposed to being in a freaking cafe or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
Yeah. So I would have done it anyway. Too. I
Yeah.
was doing it before COVID, to be honest.
Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
What is it like? Like with all of this, right? With even with this new wave, I guess, even though you said it's a younger generation, there is still that older generation, right? And there's always a sense of like, when it comes to like personal coaches, or when it comes to positivity, some people always want to put a spin on the people that are positive, like, oh, he's overly positive, or whatever it is, right? And they tend to see things like this as sometimes a bit gimmicky. right? Like,
Yeah.
is this really for real? You know what I mean?
Yes.
And like, I know you, so, so for me, like, I know that whatever you do, let alone what you're doing here, it comes from the heart. Like, I know that for a fact. Like, so end of the day, it's not really about me. But what has that kind of challenge been? Because in the end, um, you've had to show, and obviously there is success, and also, um, it's been positive outcomes, because otherwise, number one, you still wouldn't be going, and number two, you wouldn't have all these people come with testimonials and speak the way they've spoken about. So what's that challenge like, having to kind of somehow show people or prove to people that, this is not just some, you know what I mean, you're just paying a
Yeah.
couple of grand or whatever it is, right? Couple of $100, on something that's just marketed well, you know what I mean,
I couldn't agree more.
and has, you know what I mean, and has this sense like, oh, come here and, we'll fix your problems kind of mentality, right? That people have been so against in society because of the way ads, or, you know what I mean, and other
I
aspects
couldn't
of
agree
our
more.
culture. So what's that challenge been like? And just to say that I only got two questions that I wrote, because everything else is just natural vibes with us. But this was one of the two questions I wrote. I was thinking about, because
Yeah.
I was something I was thinking about the other night, and I didn't want to miss out on asking it. So
Thank you,
yeah,
man. I've got a couple. I actually love the question. I've got a couple
mm,
of things to say on
yeah,
that.
for sure,
Number
man.
one, yeah. Number one, I'll answer from like a personal, like a more business experience level. But then number two, I'll answer on more like a spiritual level,
Mm,
which I think is our natural vibe. You know,
100%.
so
Yeah.
so
Mm,
like, bro, from a business perspective, um, I I think something I could do more is actually be a bit more gimmicky and be a bit more flashy. But I'm also repulsed by that stuff, to be honest. Like I just, I see, I see very cringe things, and guys with the Lambo, the rented Lambos or the rented houses, and they're really flashy on the gram. And I coach some of those boys because I
mm,
know what's going on the surface. I've got guys who like I've never posted these testimonials, but people who are on TV and stuff like this, who are like who've got big followings and look mad flashy, but it's not the same offline, and
mm,
so that's part one. Part two is for me personally, my dude. I I don't want to do the gimmicky stuff. I don't like it. I would much rather let the testimonials speak for themselves. That's why, like, if you look at my page, it's not the only pictures of me are like either me with the boys or me with Anna,
mm,
basically.
mm, mm, mm,
Like
mm.
other than that, it's all testimonials with the boys because I would much rather the facts speak for themselves. Um,
100%. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
like I got nothing to hide on that one, man.
Yeah.
And I want it to be honest. It's going to take probably a longer time for me
Mm,
because at the end of the day, people click the gimmicky stuff.
yeah.
We complain about it being gimmicky, but we create it by what we're clicking on and what we're
Yeah.
paying for. So, like, um, for me to break that paradigm, it's going to take a bit of a longer time because
Yeah.
I've got to build up a certain momentum with my
100%.
clients and all that.
Yeah.
But eventually, man, I really do believe that this honest paradigm of like, man, this is the real ish, and like, and here's the proof, that is going to break the gimmicky stuff in due
Mm,
time, I believe.
mm, 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 mm. And I think,
Um,
end of the day, nothing is more accepted, or even like nothing is gonna, I guess, show or sell the value more than the people that themselves that have gone through the journey, you know what I mean, through the testimonials, because they're speaking for themselves, you know what I mean. And the thing is, when people do speak about it, like, they don't sound like they're overselling, you could tell,
they're
like,
not.
yeah,
It's
you know
because
what I
it's
mean.
like we just
Yeah,
press record on like
yeah,
this.
and
Yeah,
it's just, you could tell it comes from a real place, you know what I mean. Each person's journey, or all the testimonies, like when they speak about it, and you could tell, like, they say it with such relief, you know what I mean. And that's why when
yeah,
you talk about like 20 kilos lifted, they're like, man, people don't realize, like I always say, just mentally, like, if you don't know how to handle things, and you're never going to be perfect. Like I always talk to Rick about it as well, like just meditation, things like that. I said, it's so funny, right? I said, man, you can meditate a couple of days, and then there might be a couple of days you don't, and the whole world could just seem different. You know what I mean? Because like it's like, you know, when you're kids, there's no worry, right? All you're doing is just living life. You're living every day present for what it is. You know what I mean? There's no, you haven't taken on things. There's no school. There's no any, like, then get out of school. Then it's like all these things you got to do as adults and the responsibilities and things like that. But all those things weigh you down. Like I trained this morning, and my mate that I was training with, shout out to Bartos, he or she's my, yeah, is one of the guys that I met from the gym that, you know, that I train at. And we were talking, we were doing sprints the other day, and he was talking about, you know, he's just being sore essentially, right? Like on his legs. And he's like, and I said to him, I said, man, one thing I will tell you that I've learned in my life is the negative, like fatigue, just fatigue from training or fatigue from not stretching can trigger negative emotional, like intake on just your situation in life. So when you're tight muscles and whatnot, we treat it as, oh, I got tight muscles. But if you really, really stretch your body, if you really allow that oxygen in the blood, and I said to him, instantly, you're just in a different state of mind. I said, there's been
Yes.
days where I stretch, I take my time, like as I get older, as well as something that I've been putting on myself to do, like spend time stretching and loosening up the hips and things like the hips, things like your back or even your hamstrings. When they're tight, they can affect your mood. And so if you're thinking about certain things in life, like when I'm thinking about podcasts, okay, well, what's the next step, right? Or what's this, what's that? Just like anyone, right? Thinking, how do I, there's a level where you can think about it so negatively as comparison to if you really stretch your body and, you know, and you're in a real state of presence, a positive presence, the whole way of thinking changes as well. And I said to him, we forget how, like, our body can repair itself, number one, but number two, just the oxygen, the letting the blood flow, just being in a good state of mind allows you to be able to think with more clarity as well. But I said,
So,
you have no idea like how connected your body is to the way you think and how you handle things and how positive you can be. Because I said to him, there's days where I'm sore and I might be a bit, you know, moody, or I might get a bit, you know, when I'm thinking about, you know, this work, you know, with what I'm building with my brand, and, you know, and then I'll stretch down, I'll take my time, take a couple of deep breaths, really loosen my body up. And man, I'm ready to do like 10 backflips. You know what I mean? I'm ready, like, feed me, you know what I mean? Feed me more. Like, you deal with the adversity different, you know, and it's just, I just think aches and pains and things like that as we get older, we've neglected as when we were younger, you know, as opposed to when we were younger. But sometimes because we deal with so much on a daily basis, just little things like that we forget, you know. It's just like after a long day we'll just either sit on the couch or, you know, or just kind of like programmed to do this, you know. But sometimes I feel like you just need to silence your mind, you know, take your time, stretch, take some couple of deep breaths, really, you know, go into a state of meditation. And man, things just switch like that, you know, for you, just mentally, like you're able to handle things and deal with things and really sort out what's on your mind, you know what I mean, where you're heading, and without it being too much confusion or seeing the negative impacts of it because you are in a state of fatigue, you know. So and the reason I was sharing that story is because you were saying, like, mentally we deal with so much and we don't realize how much it really wears you down. You know what I mean?
and
Yeah, from
the
everything, whether
connection
you're,
between the body and
yeah,
the
whether
mind.
how you are in life or problems you think you have with people, how you deal with it, your, you know, attitude towards things, and how you deal with things. And some things seem so important, but then in the right state of mind and with the right perspective, it seems like it's not even worth thinking about. You know what I mean? Like, something can seem so important in your life, and then one day if you go about it the right way and you really, really think about it with a clean state of mind and with some clarity and feeling good, like I'm talking really feeling good about yourself, you realize that problem is not even a problem. You know what I mean? And
100%.
you know, it's
Dude,
like things like assumptions. Like I was reading the Four Agreements. You probably would have seen in my story, but I
yeah.
was dropping it. Yeah, yeah. And like, man, it was just, It was, it was crazy, man. Just reading it, and especially especially the one about the parasites, like just the way they broke it down, But you realize all these habits, they add to that ton of weight, that ton of stress, that ton of of weight that's holding you down and wearing you down. And you're just so judgmental, or you could be so caught up with something that's irrelevant. It's irrelevant, and if you really think about it, like, man, like, you got to earn the right to feel like that. That's something, I always say. When you meditate, you got to earn the right to feel like how you feel if you meditate. You can't just think about it. You can't just be like, I want to be positive today. You know what I mean? Like, your body needs to go through that sense of process. You need to, and that's what I always tell people. You got to earn the right to feel like. It's like when you go to the gym. It's easy to be unhealthy. It's hard to be healthy, right? But but if you know how to handle being healthy, then you don't have to worry, But being unhealthy, you could just sit, it's easy to put on weight, just eat, whatever. But it's like a reward system, you know what I mean? But the rewards, like, it's difficult to explain to people if you're not willing to go through that process, you know what I mean? And actually, try meditation or read about certain things and really tap into what it is that's bugging you, you know what I mean? And you realize after a while, bro, it's not about anyone else. It's not about anyone else. It's about you. It's your projection on life. It's how you deal with it. You know what I mean? Everyone that seems so relevant is really irrelevant. You know what I mean? And the ones that are relevant, you won't be there thinking about it, Like, more than anyone, friendships, like especially ours, like, man, it's been spanning over 10, 12 years, but people will be surprised with, by how close mates we are and close brothers we are, that we don't even see each other week in, week out, bro. You know what I mean? Like, we don't even see each other week in, week out at all. Sometimes months, bro. You know what I mean? But people will champion you from afar, no matter what. They will champion you because
And you can feel it.
that's what real relationships is, man. You know what I mean? But so it's the message is that I'm trying to say is that you can always self-repair, like your body, your mind. There are processes, there are things that you can dedicate your time to, and it doesn't take a lot of time, but it could shape your whole day differently. But it's a process, you know what I mean? And you got to be willing to buy into that process, you know what I mean? And that's what really exercising is, or even me being able to train for so long. Like, that's why I love it, because that's what I implement, what I learned from that journey and the journey that's still going on, which is training and competing and what's required, and you know what I mean? And what it asks of you, and that same process is what I've implemented with the brand, and how I deal with getting podcasts and all these things. It's just a process. You got to be, and something like meditation or something like stretching now, I'm so anal about it. You know what I mean? Like it's such a big thing for me that I know the moment that I'm ticking off, or the moment that things are starting to overwhelm me, sometimes I know that there's a sense of tightness, and I'll spend time and I'll really loosen my body up. I really loosen my hip up. I really stretch, let my body flex. And bro, like, you're a different person. You feel differently. All those negative thoughts that's creeping into your mind, you can deal with it in a different perspective. You know what I mean? But you can't just sit and hope, bro. You know what I mean? You can't sit and just think your way there. You got to earn the right, whether it's with meditation, but it's like anything, man. Like, you want to get in the ring and you want to compete, or you want to go play soccer, whatever it is, right? To play basketball, you got to earn the right to be able to do that, at whatever level. You know what I mean? And yeah, it's just something that I feel like, that mental side, if we can really grasp who we are and what is it that's really in our mind, man, half the battle is won. You know what I mean? And everything else is
Jay.
just, yeah,
Mhm.
everything else is just a process and setting it up. But that, I feel like, that was the biggest thing for me. Was there was so much, like, um you know darkness, you know what I mean? And darkness doesn't have to be like, oh, I want to, oh, fucking suicidal, I was on drugs, you know what I mean? Not that darkness, but darkness in the sense that I don't know, I can't speak for other people, but some things just impact your body to a level that it's almost like you're abusing yourself, you know what I mean? And for me, and me more than most, like, even with Nush, with whatever, like, that I'm always, for me, I love that realness, that environment of realness. You know, we've drank together, we've smoked a cigar or two together. Like, you know what energy I bring when you're at Uncle Jay's hip hop party. You know what I mean?
That's why I come.
Yeah. You know, like, and so for me, I know that it's so easy to lose that if you're not mindful of yourself and how you know what I mean. And so it's important, man. And yeah, like I just I just think that that aspect, the mental game and that mental clarity and being able to repair yourself spiritually and emotionally on a more regular basis, you just got to do it, man. Whether it's not, we don't, you can't live in a world where I don't have time as an excuse. You know what I mean? You have to, because then dealing with relationships, like, even like, bro, with marriage, right? You hear, all different kinds. It's so interesting, right? Everyone's different. Some are like, man, when you have kid, when bub comes, it's going to be the best, you know what I mean? And then others like, you're going to lose sleep, you know what I mean? And all these different things. And the truth of the matter is, man, maybe all those things are going to happen. But my mind is still focused on the brand. My mind is still focused on building something for my family and my legacy. Whether anyone gives a fuck or not, I'm doing that. You know what I mean? And I will find a way to go to the gym and train, because I know for me to be the best version of myself, I need to do that. And I want to be the best version of myself for my family. Going to work and paying for bills and things like that, that's all whatever. But my life, like, the biggest worry I ever had, even before being married or anything, fearful is and more so being after, is that I don't want to build an environment where my kid can't thrive. You know what I mean? Thrive like I wanted to thrive. You know what I mean? And not wait till not wait till the age I was to finally realize that this inkling thing, this other thing that was there for me, that's waiting for me, that is calling for me, but fighting it because of this environment you're in, and thinking that this is all you know, and this is your world, and these are the people that you're going to be with, you know what I mean? And putting it out to the universe and getting nothing back, or feeling like getting nothing back, you know what I mean? So for me, I know being the best version of myself is the number one on the table. You know
Priorities.
what I mean? It's a priority list, exactly, because I know that as long as that happens, everything else is going to be sorted, and everything else is going to be fine. And that's not. There's nothing selfish about it. It's selfish not to be the best version of yourself. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I find that's more selfish. You know what I mean? If you just stop your ambitions and your goals for which you are building for your family, not just for you, but that's a part of you that's not living. And so if that part of you is not living, that's going to, I believe in energy. I believe in frequency. You know what I mean? And I believe that how you behave and how you carry your life will spread. You know what I mean? And that has always been my biggest worry, no matter what. You know what I mean?
Amen, man, dude.
Yeah.
There's so many things that you said in there that, like, it was just like gospel, man. I like
Yeah.
just
This guy.
was enjoying. I was just taking it all in, dude. I loved it, dude. I'll say a couple of things,
Yeah.
man. Like, the first thing is, you talked about like how it's actually selfish not to do this, dude. You know what? I've learned a thing or two about that. Here's the thing, and this is from Carl Jung, who's like known as the father of psychiatry. People can may have heard of him. Basically, what he talks about is all humans, we're capable of doing all traits, and we kind of do all things. We really do. And the question is, do you do it in the light, or do you do it in the dark? So, for example, sometimes we work with people who are people pleasers. But what you tend to find is, like, people pleasers are usually the most angry people, because they're so much of their energy is going to pleasing people, but not taking care of themselves. That when their anger comes out, it lashes out like crazy. In the same way, man, like, from a selfish perspective, if you don't do selfishness in the light, it comes out in the dark. So, to extend on your example, if you don't take the time to like, the way I teach my boys is, like, fill your own cup first. Like, when the plane is going down, the captain does not say, pull down the oxygen mask from above and put it on your kid first. Like, the caption says, pull it down and put it on you first.
Damn, bro. Yeah. I like that example.
Yeah, you help yourself first, so then
Yeah.
you can help others.
Yeah.
But if you don't, and you're always giving to others out of your own lack of, whether it's your own lack of self-worth, your own lack of shame, your own lack of guilt, or just some kind of inner thing that you're not comfortable with receiving. So therefore because sometimes receiving or asking for favors, it can be uncomfortable. And sometimes I have guys who come to me and they tell me they have all these issues with women. But when you really talk to them, like, what they're doing is like they want to sleep with these girls, but they're being friends with these girls, hoping that they can sleep with them. Like we've heard of people doing stuff like that, and it's kind of like, well, man, it's like you were uncomfortable, you were scared of doing the uncomfortable thing, which is like going up to that girl and like trying, like flirting with her, or like telling her like what you really feel.
Mm.
You're uncomfortable being real about it, and so it's like you're doing this kind of sly thing where you are pretending to, like, you're saying you're friends, but you really want to get with her. You're not being real. But if you actually take the time to fill your own cup first, which is actually going, you know what, I do need to get my time into train. I need to get my time into stretch. I need to, like, whatever constitute filling your own cup for you. If you take the time to do that, what ends up happening is you just end up being a happier person because you filled your own cup. So you feel happier, you feel more fulfilled. And as a result, then when you go to your family, you're giving without expecting anything in return. You're giving because your cup is overflowing. You've looked after yourself, and now you can contribute to others in a wholesome way. But if you contribute to others from the contents of a cup that's not getting filled by you, then you're going to get pissed and expect that people will look after you, and you're going to get pissed when they don't, and then you're going to lash out and do like some selfish act, and which causes issues. So, like, bro, like, point number one of what you were saying, like, I couldn't agree more. I think you just expressed it in like a really beautiful way that correlated to you training.
Mm.
um, you taking the time to fill your own cup, actually, I think the words you used were, that means that part of you is not living
Mm.
if you're not taking care of yourself. And if
Mm.
it's not living, it's not giving. How is it going to, how if it's not living, how can it contribute to your family and things like that?
Mm.
So man, I couldn't agree more. And man, in terms of like statement, Tony Robbins calls this management of your mood, he calls it state management. Man, like there is a course he has called Relationship Mastery. You have to spend like 120 grand to get into this course. The primary thing that he teaches in this course is state management, because just as you said, if you take the time to make sure that you're in a better mood by making sure you stretch, by taking care of your body, like not sweeping things under the rug, like, because as you see, when you loosen up the body, somehow you feel better about
Mm.
yourself. Like,
Mm.
yeah, doing function, and everyone's got their own
Yeah.
art of fulfillment,
Yeah.
right? Like for me, it's
100%.
the beach,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You always,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I know
right?
you love the
And
beach, my G. Don't worry, man.
yeah, it's beach, and the
Yeah.
cycle was
Yeah.
like, and
I never,
sabbatical.
I never smoked a cigar at the beach till I met you, bro. So,
Yeah, and you'll never stop after that, man.
yeah,
You're
that's
like,
it,
wow,
bro. That's it.
this is
That's
great. But
it.
like but the thing is, at the end of the day, when you feel better, you will treat people better.
Mm.
So it's better to just accept that it's okay to be selfish in the light, and I teach my boys to do it with like a morning routine, like every morning, take the first hour of the morning to yourself, to doing stuff that actually helps you build you and contributes to things that you care about. Then look after others,
Mm.
and so, yeah, couldn't agree more with what you said.
Yeah.
It was gospel, man.
Nah, nah, man. It's just I just think, I don't know, they always say it's as you get older, you get, but you get a bit more mature about things, but I don't think it's a sense of that. I mean, there's people that are in their 30s, 40s, and 50s that are still in my mind, you know what I mean? Um, immature, if that's what they say the saying is, right? Like, the older you get, the more mature you get. But I just think that man, I just think there's so much like uh, just poison, man. You know what I mean? That can go on in your system if you just don't know how to deal with things, and really just find a way to have a different perspective. But the ulterior motive shouldn't be to find a different perspective, but it's like, man, if people don't go exercise or people don't go for a walk, you know what I mean? Or if whatever the outlet is, right? Some people like to read a book or some, but finding something that helps you alleviate and makes you elevate yourself, then, it's like, it's like trying to achieve something or reward something without doing anything, which is never going to happen. You know what I mean? And there's nothing wrong with having reward systems, because I feel like it ensures like consistency in yourself and how you handle and how you live your life every day. You know what I mean? So I just think that's the truth of the matter. That's the
Mm.
truth in it all, is that you think about it. But like, it's just, I just feel like the angst, and it's like, things like yoga, things like there's what I tell people, or and not, no, this is not just me telling people, like, I mean, like the whole kind of social world. I'm
Yes.
I'm talking my family, my brothers and my sisters, and my close friends, is that it's all good, like, whether it's depression, whether it's mental health, whether it's anything to do in that realm, right? For me, one thing I realized, me personally, and whether I had depression, whether I had mental health, I don't know. Like, I don't know what the criteria for that is, but was I mentally down and was I in a bad place? Hell motherfucking yes. You know what I mean? And that is known. That is known to the people that should know, that need to know, right? They know. And the one thing I learned was, there's all these outlets, these processes, and things that you can do to help you get to a better place. But my question is, feeling like it is one thing, going through it is one thing, but what are you going to do about it? And that is something that's, no matter what situation I find myself in, that's what I ask myself. Okay, this is where you are. This, you feel in the dumps. Like, the only person I really spoke about it, if people watch the podcast, was with Rick. But for example, like, in the second round of my last fight, I got rocked in the first round. I got hit
Mm.
with a good shot, and I'm in a higher weight division, a bigger weight division now. So I'm facing heavier guys and stronger guys. And I remember I went to at the end of the first round, and I went to the second round, and long story short, in the end, the guy won a split decision, but he believed he lost. He actually came and saw me at the back and felt bad and said, the refs got it wrong. And I believed I won, but that's not why I'm telling you
Yeah.
this. But
Yeah.
after that first round, family's there, my brother's there, the people watching. And I remember going into the corner, I took a deep breath, things that I've learned from Qigong and, meditation and how to breathe and help, with your anxiety, your heart rate, whatever it is that you're feeling at that moment. And I remember telling myself, it's on now. But if I, when I win this fight, it's going to be a good story to tell. And I'm telling myself this in between the first and second round. I'm self-talking to myself, and I'm taking a deep breath, and
Amazing.
this is gonna be a great story when I come back and win. You know what I mean? Because that's what it's gonna take now. It's gonna take that for me to go through hell if I really want to win this fight now, because this guy is going to have confidence after the first round, and now he's going to come into this round and thinking he's going to do the same thing. And in the end, man, I had this guy in the ropes, and he was huffing and puffing by the time the third round ended, right? And I remember my brother, which was the most, probably one of the proudest things a brother could tell to his younger brother. But he goes, there was a moment when the moment in the fight came, and it came down to whose heart, who had more heart. He goes, your heart shined tenfold. You know what I mean? So like when you go through those things, bro, you realize there's a whole nother level to life, bro, that these motherfuckers have no idea that exists. So then you realize why it's so easy to not get caught up in shit that seems like the world for some. you know, whether it's drama, whether it's not talking to someone, whether it's oh, you know, like I have these goals and dreams, and I don't know how to, you know what I mean, like I don't know how to achieve it, or I'm not good enough, or like, you know, or even just hating on what other people are doing. That's all a mental thing. You know, that's all a lack of self-talk and self-confidence that you can build. So feeling it is one thing, and knowing it and acknowledging is one thing. But I always say, what are you going to do about it? And when you start asking yourself, what am I going to do about this? Then you'll start the process of seeing things around you, and seeing things in yourself that you didn't give a chance to really acknowledge and understand, or go be able to go do things. You know what I mean? If someone's unfit or someone's overweight, go exercise. If you want to get fitter, go exercise. And that process of exercise, I've seen people drop so much weight. Did I think they were fat? I didn't even care. That's a person to me. Whether they're big or small, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But that person's on a journey to lose weight and be fitter. And I've seen people that are like dropped, man, 20, 25 kilos, you know, and a lot of weight, man. And I know what the fuck they would have gone through to do that mentally. You need to be strong.
Mhm.
You need to be
Yes.
strong. You know what I mean? But to earn that right, to feel like how you felt, and to build that self-confidence and know that, man, I can achieve
No one can
anything.
take that away from you, man.
Yeah,
That is
and
like, that
only
is
and you
way better
need
than
to
any trophy,
and
man.
you need exactly and you need to go through that. No one else. You need to go there, and that's the reward system. Is you need to
That's
go.
that's real self-confidence, man.
Yeah.
Sometimes people are asking me about, like, oh, Jim, how do I become more confident? Can I just do this meditation with you, or
Mm,
this or that? I'm like, bro, yeah, of course we'll do this, the internal work, but dude, nothing will give you confidence like meeting the promises, keeping the promises that you
yeah.
set for yourself.
Yeah.
Like that's why I'm like, bro, every morning, like whatever, meditation, going for a run, I'm like, don't even do it for a six pack. You don't need to
Mm,
do it for any of that.
no.
Do it just to keep the promises that you had to yourself. Like if you do that, there's a level of evidence that you are just collating just out of sheer facts. Like another thing that I always teach my boys is, like, it's a very confronting one, especially for curries, which is
We got a lot of
to
we got a
be,
lot of confronting things we need
yeah,
to we need to deal with. But
bro.
anyway,
I,
go on.
and it was confronting for me before I showed anyone
Yeah.
else, right?
Yeah.
Like it was being on time
Yeah.
for everything,
Yeah. Yeah.
and which is like the exact opposite of like what a lot of ethnic cultures do,
Yeah. 100%.
and
Yeah.
yeah, and I remember when it was first shown to me. Anna was actually the one who first showed it to me. I was like, Anna, look, you don't understand. Like, there's Sri Lankan time, there's Indian
Yeah.
time. You're from Russia. You don't know.
Yeah.
And I was so triggered by it. That's why I don't
Yeah.
judge anyone else. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
know, I know what I was like. I was like so aggressive about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like um, but man, like when someone can make a promise that, you know what, dude, I'm gonna be there at 3:30, or I'm gonna rain or shine, you become the type of person that is there when you said you would be there. Even if the other person doesn't rock up at that time, like just you knowing that, hey man, like in order for, like, because sometimes, like, to be somewhere at 3:30, say, you have to actually exercise your sense of personal boundaries, like, because that means you could have an appointment before and it could start to overrun,
Mm,
and you have to, like, have the courage to step up and say, hey, I'm really sorry, but I need to wrap in 2 minutes because I've got an appointment at 3:30 and I like to keep my appointments.
mm,
And so to, like, the journey you have to go on to do something as basic as be on time and be there when you said you would. There's a level of confidence you can't fake when you
mm,
start to do that often,
mm,
because you kept your promises. Like, that's what, presumably, like, without making too many assumptions, when you're training, man, like, I gotta say, surely at least 8 out of the 10 mornings, it is just so cold. You are exhausted. There is
yeah.
no way you probably want to get out of bed, but you, as you said, you earn the right to feel that way. And it's so easy to get tempted to think, oh, like, man, like, that guy's got sick genetics, or that guy doesn't have this or this in his life. That guy's got, dude, we've all had to cut through our own version of excuses to do whatever we're doing, and for me, Jana, like, to number one, like, I definitely think that you doing those hard things gives you a level of confidence that far excels anything else. But number two, I think that the deeper thing that I feel a lot of our, I look, I hope I don't sound judgmental when I say this, dude, and maybe you can correct me.
Mm,
Um, I've just noticed a lot of people I've come across. It's like we suffer from tall poppy syndrome. It's like we
mm,
suffer from, we don't want to like step out too much, or because we think it's going to be egotistical. For me, man, for me to break out of that paradigm and actually step out and go, you know what, I'm going to first talk about myself and my own mental health journey and my
mm.
own journey with all this internal demon stuff,
Yeah.
and then I'm going to help others do it. Like to break out and do something which is like so out of the paradigm
Mm,
of our community and have my own business and all these things.
mm.
It takes a lot of balls, you know, because you could freaking fail, and people
Mm.
will be like, "Look at Dim, man! Like he freaking was posting all this stuff
Yeah.
on Instagram, and now he's
Yeah.
going back to work at Macca's," you know. But
Mm.
like, bro, in order to do that, for me, the mission was, this is one of the a message that I'd like to give to people. It's stop making it about you. Like for me,
Mm.
this wasn't about me. It was like I remember with you, Jana, like you were saying from the beginning, I wanted to show like our community like that a curry guy could rap or a curry
Mm.
guy could box. You know, I wanted to create to blaze that pathway for others so it'll uplift not just our whole community. It's not just for me to
Mm.
show to get a gold medal. You
Mm.
know, that
Mm.
was,
No, it's
in the
never.
same,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, and yeah, because you can't, to be honest, you can't make it through the hard times if your mentality is it was just for you. Dude,
Mm.
there have been times like, especially last year when COVID set in, and I had to cancel. Dude, I had to like cancel my retreats. I was still new to business at the time, and I had to refund like $20,000. And I had like investment property issues and stuff, and 20 grand went out of my account in one go, and it cleared my account to I think it was $30 in my account, or 30 cents or something like that. It cleared my account out. And the next day we had rent due, and we didn't have money for groceries. And like, I basically called up my best friend to borrow money for him to pay for rent. Um, Man, and I like, and there's times where you know that you're doing something so wholesome, but you haven't learned how to communicate the value of that to other people yet in a way that they understand. And like for example, I've spent like 110,000 learning all the stuff that I this personal development stuff that I teach to people for like not even a tenth of that. You know what I
Mm.
mean? Like not even it's like tiny amount. Um, and I'm trying to convince people. I remember I was trying to convince people to come to a $99 workshop where I was going to trying to give them like the value that I would have learned in $1,000 workshop.
Mm.
I remember, bro, like telling all these people, like 50 people a day for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, like about this thing, and no one was buying. And it is so soul crushing, especially when you don't have food on the table, when when you're working in corporate and you've got the cushy jobs, like and the cushy steady paycheck. It is so different because you know that like hey man, like if I'm hungry and I don't want the food that's in the fridge, great, I can order Uber Eats or I can go to grocery store. And for us it was just like um yeah, we don't have money to get Uber Eats, we don't have money to go to the grocery store, we're borrowing money to pay rent. Like this is the level. And I remember, man, breaking down and crying on that couch right over there, after trying so hard. And Anna, God bless, was there for me, and she's just been with me through the toughest times. And it's the people that are with you through the toughest times that you want to give the best times in the world to. You know what I mean? And celebrate with. But
100%.
the only thing that gets you through a journey like that, because that is usually what it takes, is the fact that it is more than just about you. And for me, man, what kept me going is like the boys need this. Like the boys are struggling. Like man, bro,
Yeah.
the amount of boys that have told me, like they don't. Most people will never say it on a testimonial, but the amount of boys that have told me, like when we first started talking, that they've been feeling suicidal and this and that, and to see the transformation, it is insane, and it's made it worth it, man. And I so this is what I'm trying to say to people, like make a mission that is way more than just about you, because the secret of living is giving. That's
Mm.
where you will get more energy. Life supports what supports more life. And if you are doing something which is more than just about you, and it is in some way uplifting and contributing to society, you will receive support from the universe, because you are in flow with what the universe wants to do, which is that it wants to help grow everything. So, man, deeply resonate with what you're doing.
It's crazy because people can get, I guess, confused with the idea of like how do I make a living or live life in a successful way by giving. But you'd be surprised how much you can actually give. And it's not essentially, it doesn't always have to be a form of even currency, you know what I mean? There's ways to give in a way that you can build businesses and you can build wealth for yourself, you know what I mean? And it's just finding what you're really passionate about, and and then it's just the perspective of it. Like I was meant to, you were alluding to like earlier, just being such a big thing for people of our community to do
To
certain
step
things,
out.
whether it's business or whatever it is, right? Doing something, and I've had a guy come up to me when I was doing kickboxing and saying, bro, you're like the only like Tamil guy I know that does this, like that fights or trains and competes, and like, people. And kind of Rick told me this as well. I was like, maybe, he goes, sometimes you should share it, but there's a lot of stories I don't share. There's a lot of messages I get from people in the DMs and stuff that I don't share or whatever, not for any reason, but I know that it helps motivate me, and I know that I'm doing something. Just because you don't hear it from the people that you may expect to hear it from, and not that I am looking for any validation, but you know what I mean? I'm just talking in general. Like, yes, there's people and there's friends and whatnot, but and there's family, and then they're always going to support you. But when someone, more than anyone, what it takes for someone to come out of their way to say something,
Mm.
great, something positive and something complimentary to you, you know what I mean, with whatever you're doing. So I always have a lot more respect and a lot of love for those kind of people, you know what I mean? Because they didn't have to, you know what I mean? But the fact that they did, it means something, you know what I mean? And means a little bit extra too. But yeah, so what I was trying to say was, you know, before COVID, this time COVID hit, one of my other projects and one of the things that I was filming is that I've been wanting to do is this little documentary on migrant women from our parents' generation, and what they've and diving into certain certain topics that have come up, right? And the idea essentially the idea, without going into too much, because I would love people when the day comes, like, and to be able to watch it and actually embrace it for themselves. But I had one planned with an auntie from our community, right?
Yeah.
And I wanted to get someone from the indigenous community, Muslim, Arabic community, and the African community. And these are women from our parents' generation, and we're going to talk about mental health and stuff. But I was going to film it as a documentary style, and it was meant to do it at Marlene's Hotel in Bella Vista.
Okay.
And I had it all planned for July 4th, and that's the week that the COVID lockdown happened. But the idea that I was the concept and the story that I wanted to dive into was that a lot of what we think we're able to do, and a lot of the parameters that have been set for us, or we think has been set for us, it's also it's almost like a generational kind of disease, a way of thinking. And it's not something that parents impose on you because they're trying to tell you what they
No one
what
means to. No one
yeah,
means to. It
yeah,
just
what
gets
they're trying
passed
to
on.
that this is what is success, or this is what you need to do to be successful. This this is what this is what was given to them, or this is what was taught to them, and this is what was available to them, or what they believed this was success at the time that they were growing up, and that's how they were taught, and that's all that was given to them. And you'd be very surprised that when you really realize that a lot of it is fear. Like I had honest conversations with my dad and stuff about all of this, especially when I was going to quit work for a year to focus on this. Like, you know what I mean? Like at
Yeah.
that point, I've been working for 13 years and I'm married. And it's like, dude, like, are you sure you want to do this? And I'm going to leave a company, an organization, where I climbed the ranks and had a really good job and a pay and been there for 13 years. And, it's like, well, you're going to go into this unknown. But like, number one, I wouldn't have had that conversation if I didn't back myself or I was confident that this is what I wanted to do. But even with my music stuff, even with me training, like they watched from afar, they know about my diet. Like the other day, Anisha was having a laugh because my mum was asking me about how my weight was going and my weight cutting, and all that. And where are you? How much more weight do you need to lose? Or, you know what I mean? And they quickly realize that, man, when this guy is really serious about something, he's gonna go do it. And it's not like, when I was in year 11, like I remember the music teacher was like, man, just to my dad, like, your boy should do music. You know what I mean? I did not want to do music at that point, given what happened 5 years later, or you know what I mean? 6 years
Yeah.
later with me doing a bit of music and stuff. But like the message that I wanted to dive into is that you'd be very surprised as to through the stories and through the storytelling, and these women from our parents' generation, from these different migrant groups, you'll find out that was just what was told to them. That's all that was given to them, and their belief of what was achievable and what was possible was nowhere near the ability and the courage we have now. You know what I mean? They would have had the same courage. They would have thought and felt about it the same way. But I think sometimes you just need to go about doing things the way you feel like you need to do it, and let people watch. And when people watch and people see, then people will get a better understanding, and then they'll jump on board and support you, or have a better understanding of what you're doing. But how can you tell someone that hasn't been able to experience it for themselves that certain things are possible, certain things can be done? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this was something that I was thinking about, the concept, and wanting to film it amongst other things. But this was one of the main ones, was because I wanted to dive into these ladies. They are ambassadors for mental health. But I wanted to dive into the concept of how the stigmas and all these other factors, contributing factors, into them not being able to, live out what they felt they wanted to live out as kids, because this is all you could do. This is what was taught to them, and it gets passed on. And it's a very scary thing to break out of that mold, and it's a scary thing for the close loved ones watching you do it, because it's almost fearful. You know what I mean? It's almost
It is
fearful for
fearful
them. Yeah.
because it's the paradigm that, to be honest, helped them get to where they are. This is one of the first things that I said to my parents, man. Like,
Mm.
I didn't know if you remember, Jana, but like after 4 years of working in corporate, I quit, and I was like, I hate this. I'm not fulfilled.
Mm.
I'm not really happy with what I'm doing, and it doesn't feel meaningful to me. Because at that time I had gone to Costa Rica to build an orphanage, like
Yeah,
a
man.
charity, and Indonesia. And 4 years into corporate, I'm like, man, I'm over this, and I'm going to go to like the only thing that seems to make sense to me is to go to Africa to do more volunteer work. And obviously, like, man, my parents like completely freaked out and were like, dude, what are you doing? You're pissing away all the experience that you've got. You're leaving this great company and all this. Like, how could you? And you don't even have a backup job. You're not. This is not a sabbatical. You are literally leaving. Like, why would you want to do this? But what I was explaining to my parents at that time, and God bless them, like they're like probably my biggest supporters and
Hun-
Annie now,
100%.
but
Yeah.
like, yeah, like at that time,
Mm.
a lot of their fear came out, but it's only because the formula, as you were saying, they are technically just as ambitious as I am,
Mm.
because like for them to get out of a village in Sri Lanka to come here took way more ambition than most people over
Yep.
there had, because most
Mm.
of those people are still there. And for them to come out, they had a certain belief system and a certain level of what great achievement looks like and all those things. and that actually helped them get the results that they've got. So of course they're really confident about it. But I think maybe the issue is when we're not open-minded and projected that onto someone else. And what I was explaining to my parents at the time was, well, actually, hey, I'm just as ambitious as you are, except I'm not starting in a village in Sri Lanka. I'm starting here. So
Mm.
my version where I'm trying to go is actually the same distance, but for you it looks further. But for me, it's the same distance that you traveled. I'm just starting from a different place than you are. And so, man, that belief system, dude, you use the word disease, and I couldn't agree. Like, I couldn't agree more. If we're not conscious to the fact that we, unless we create our own blueprint, Stephen Covey in the book Seven Habits of Highly Effective People, he talks about developing the second blueprint. He goes, the first blueprint is the blueprint that was given to us and created at random, basically from our parents, from society, from the school we went to, about the way we should live our life and the beliefs we should have about money and contribution and whatever, and fitness and health and everything. Like we receive a first blueprint, a first paradigm of how to live life, and really, what Stephen Covey says is that lasts until you recognize that you have the ability to create your second blueprint. And your second blueprint is the life that you design it to be. And when you realize, hey, man, for me, I want to do more than just, like, for some people, man, they're really fulfilled by their jobs and they want to have like a great family with kids and they just want to be happy and
Mm.
travel. And I think that is dope. And there should be
Yeah,
more people
everything's
like that.
different,
You know,
100%. Yeah.
yeah.
Bro, the amount
Everyone's
of
got their
people
own
like
value
me that
system.
love traveling and like, yeah, they got corporate jobs, or they might be in something else where it's a, what we like to call a 9 to 5. But man,
Yes.
they work so hard and they travel the world. And I'm like, you know what? That's amazing because, we've all, if not some, well, myself, we've all traveled the world. We've seen different countries and experienced it. And you know what it's like when you go on a holiday, right? And you have such a great time whether it's Europe, the States, or, wherever it is in the world. And that's it, man. Like you said it. Success, like, and I think it all just comes back to the one thing, man. It's this ideology of success, this ideology of what's success. And I was saying in my last podcast, like, I just feel like people, especially when you know people and you see them and that you can touch, you can feel them, you've had a drink with them, you've, had those park sessions and, all this shit, right? You're out there, you're talking to the universe and you're with all these people that, without it sounding bad, when you're going through primary school, when you're going through high school, it's like you're in a pond. You're in a pond with all these fish, you know what I mean? And then you go into this big ocean and yeah, you might be rolling with some of them, still, but you're almost, the communication and who you meet and who you talk to, they they're provided to you, right? It's not out of your own
Halfway to that
choice.
point. Yeah,
Yeah, you know
exactly.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Like up to
When you're
that
in the
point.
pond.
Yeah, when you're in the pond,
Mm.
because like end of the day, like this is all you know. These are the people who this is
So
your
you
school
know.
system. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So as you grow older and you start to develop these belief systems and you start to feel these inkling things and things that like to say in your gut, you know what I mean? Why that's why the gut is so important to the body, right? And um the difficulty is that sometimes I feel like people, when they think of successful people or people that are doing really well in life, they have this sense of invincibility in them, this sense of unreachable, untouchable. You know what I mean? When we think successful people, you know what I mean? And
That is such a lazy way to think, though, man. That is,
yeah,
like, man, the reason I'm passionate about that,
yeah,
and I'm interrupting you, and I'm
yeah.
sorry, is
No,
because you know what
go
you were
for it,
saying
brother.
about
Yeah.
bro, you know what you were saying about like the earn, you've got to earn the right to feel that way,
Mm,
man. It's like me seeing you and seeing you in a great physical shape and with great health, and being like, yeah, but John has got different genetics than me.
mm,
That's why John is like me. It's not, but I'm not doing the level of work that John is
mm,
doing.
mm,
And it's a victim's mentality.
mm.
To think that, oh, look, um, these successful people or this or that or whatever, they're invincible or they're on this pedestal. No, man. Like, and you know what? It doesn't even matter if they had rich
Yeah.
parents or it doesn't matter, man. It's like, stop making excuses for what you really want, bro. Like, if
Mm,
you really want that, just shut up, stop pointing at other people, because every time you point at other people, you are giving your power away. You know, like, no, even whether you're idolizing someone or you're putting someone down, you're blaming someone, no matter what, anytime you're looking outside of yourself, you're giving your power away. And it's so sad because people don't mean to do it. I think we've just not been educated to know otherwise. And man, like, why I'm passionate about it is because people, I think, you know, will really benefit from understanding that, hey, let them stay in their lane, let them run their race. Don't worry about their race, worry about yours, you know, and worry about your values. I think something else that you were going on before, man, is that you're saying finding what you're passionate about. What I have found, man, to be one of the biggest keys in life, and this is one of the biggest things that I teach the boys to help them be successful. Like, because you've seen the testimonials, you see these boys are really thriving. Dude, some, like, pretty much every single guy who's come to my things that have wanted a pay rise have got a pay rise of between 20,000 and around 100,000 within 6 months of working. Why? Because it is about connecting to what it's about, filling your own cup. It's about connecting to what you're passionate about. And what I have found, what we're passionate about, we all have our own individual blueprint of values and priority. Like, when I say values, I don't mean like integrity and loyalty and stuff. I mean like values in the sense of like priorities. For some people, they value wealth, and you can see what they value because it's what they spend their time on. It's what they watch on YouTube. It's what lights them up when they talk about it. And you know, what they like to bring conversations back to. You know, you and me, we love philosophy. We love, like, look at the topics that we always gravitate towards talking about. You know, like, it's fitness, because it's a reflection of what we value. Like, for you and me, we don't really value gardening, and that's okay. You know, if we value gardening, we'd be talking about gardening, but we don't. And what we don't want to do, what none of us should do, is project our values onto someone else and tell them that's how they should live their life. With people in our parents' generation, a lot of them, including my own, God bless them, for them, they value certainty, security, stability, and they should, because, like, for them to get to where they are, they needed that value structure.
100%.
You know, and for them, and family, and that's why they value family, and they have a very rich family life. For me, I've grown up with a lot of these values, hence I have them as well. But I'm also conscious of not letting anyone else project their values onto me, and because where my real power comes from, and where why I have the energy to do what I do, is because I've organized and prioritized my life around the things that I value the most. You know, and as a result, I'm lit up by what I'm doing. You know, even yes, it does take discipline. It does take discipline. There's going to be times where you're tired, but overall, it's like the brakes are off. You know, you feel brakeless because, like, I want to be on this part. Like, I want to talk to my boy. Like, for me, this is not marketing. This is talking to my boy. You know, and I'm talking to my, like, and because you're my boy, we obviously have similar values, and so it's very easy. In the same way, for me, running men's retreats. Think about my job, bro. I'm doing weekends with the boys. It's pretty easy to do the job if you think about it in that way. You know, to be motivated to do that. The key is to organize and prioritize your life around your highest values, and not project your values onto someone else, but also not let someone else project their values onto you. Because I think with you and I, bro, presumably you and I would imagine we value. I would say family, we value wealth, we value fitness, and I think personal development. And there's going to be a couple of others, but I would say that we're definitely united in those four, and hence very easy for us to be friends. You know, because we're always supporting each other in growing on that, and we're not projecting, oh, Jana, you should be this way, or Dim, you should be this way.
And that's exactly it, man. I just feel like that more and more when I even reflect back and when I think back to how life was at one point, and when I feel like I wasn't the best version of myself, you know, and really that's what it was. A lot of it was obviously your own mind and what you allowed in and what you put out, but also the fact that other people are, you know, other people project their values on you and have this expectation, or vice versa. Your dreams and your ambitions and your values aren't accepted in the way that you see it or how you feel when you think about it, because it doesn't match up with theirs, and therefore any ambition or any ideas or any things that might seem far-fetched, or you know what I mean, or you know, successful in the same limelight as someone of a high level, or someone that's doing really successful, that you know, that the closest we can get to them is through Instagram, right, or Facebook or Twitter, right? um you know, it's like it seems impossible, because it's like, well, if you can't feel like that, if you can't see that, then you automatically devalue that person that's next to you, because it's like, well, how can you if I can't, kind of thing, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
And it's such a fucking bitch way of thinking things, you know, very very negative
It's
way of
victim
thinking things.
mentality.
Yeah, it is, man, 100%. And I think on the flip side, where the journey gets scary, is that you realize when you really want to chase what you want, and you know, shout out, I mentioned Ricky a few times, but he's my boy. In the last podcast he mentioned it, and he goes, you've already got to commit that there's going to be a whole lot of work ahead waiting for you, hard work, but also that you know that if you're going to chase what you really want, there's going to be some lonely days, if not a lot of lonely days. And then there's and at the same time, the people, now you're going to really see the value that people have, whether it's friends or family or whatever it is with you, because that's what it's going to take to keep that relationship going. It's because you're not gonna be, and especially someone like me, you know me, dog. Like, I used to drive everywhere. You tell me where you are, I rock up, and you know what I mean? Like, that's how I was, right? Like, I never thought that, I never thought,
It
number
wouldn't be
one,
reciprocated, right?
yeah. I was like,
Yeah.
what do you mean? Yeah, man. Like, that's me. Like, you know, you need a lift, I'll come pick the boys up. You know what I mean? And I say that proudly. And no one can take that shit away from me. I know what I did. You know what I mean? And I know the love I gave, and I'm not saying others did it, but I've, you know, I felt like certain things are just the norm. What do you mean, bro? Like, you know what I mean? That's in the DNA. Like, that's how we should treat each other. You know, if someone, and you realize quickly that it takes courage to go do certain things that are outside the norm, outside of someone's belief or possibility. You know what I mean? And then number two, when you do a part, like I've had, you know, when I first had my first podcast, you were there, my homie. Like, you were in that promo trailer every time when everyone did the shout outs. And you remember it was black and white, and you remember it was a little table mic. You know what I mean? And we were sitting in the
Yes.
corner of my place at the time. You know what I mean? And it was black and white with a camera, and that's it, man. Because all that shit, I visioned it then. I visioned it when we did the first podcast. I knew what setup I
Crazy.
wanted. I knew what creativity and art I wanted in there, you know, to feed off, right? And you know me, I'm big on that shit, right? Um, but I didn't start it for all of that. I started it for this, so that people can listen and to all these people's journeys, because in my eyes, that's success. Just because they're touchable, just because they're within arm's reach means shit to me, because I know that for them to do what they're doing, it takes real courage and it takes hard work, and it's all a perspective. It's all a perspective on how you see things that are successful. But the second it's somebody on TV, or second it's a movie star, or second it's someone with a hectic brand, you know, it's like, and you may do something similar, right? You may get into fashion, or you might have someone that's selling their own makeup, right? And then it's like, well, it ain't Rihanna's makeup, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like, is it really good? Like, that's proper quality, right? Give it 3 4 years, that person could be one of the top best sellers, right? And the point I'm trying
Exactly.
to make is, Rihanna was probably just like me or you know, at a coffee shop thinking, fuck, man, I got these ideas, I got these visions, this is what I want to do. I want to be an artist, I want to be a singer, right? But because that shit does not get showcased, or just that shit is not seen, and they don't see how they got where they did, they forget how important it is to pat someone on the back or to show their love when someone's doing it. Because I'm telling
when
you,
they're going through that
yeah,
that
that
lonely
phase,
hallway, you know.
because
Yeah,
one day that person that you thought, oh, you know, look at this guy trying to do this, is the same guy you walk past the shops, you walk past in the thing, walk past at the shopping center, saw at a coffee shop, could touch, could feel, could talk to, and
but you didn't
now
do it, did you?
there's
Yeah,
no reach, you know what I mean? All
and
because of
now
the
you
way
have
you
to
thought,
rise
you
the
know what I mean?
overall.
And you basically, and that's one thing that I've learned, man, like, especially now, right now, my biggest form of currency is networking. That's where I am seeing the most success. You know what I mean? In my, what I can, it's all these people I'm meeting and all these different platforms and all these, you know, there's a few things that I'm planning behind the scenes, hopefully works out, which would be pretty big. More so is what you said. There's nothing more confident than having an idea and it pulling off. And there's an idea, you know, with movies and movie reviewing and having, you know, and having this on my platform, other guys doing it. Because the only thing that I would ever want to be in front of a camera for that is related to my brand is this. Because this is what I love doing. You know what I mean? You know, I love talking some shit, you know what I mean? On podcast. But other than that, man, like, I want to produce content. I want to focus on the bigger picture. How do we tell these stories? How do we, you know, and even in the food industry, especially coming out of COVID, I've got some ideas that, you know, with there'll be no form of, you know, eventually, yes, but the initial wouldn't be, hey, pay me and I'll do this for you. I want to do something that's going to bring value to my brand, but at the same time is going to help you, especially with small businesses and things like that. I've got, you know, I want to, you know, I want to create a food show that gets that through, you know, the Mercenary Entertainment imprint, but going and sussing out all these vibey places, and which, you know, you could probably put me onto eventually as well, because I know you and Anna love some dope spots, man. So, you know, I'll talk
Of
to you about
course.
it. But talking to the owners and talking to the way they envision this, and, you know, how they got, you know, what made them create this vibey place, looking at some of the food, going into the kitchen, capturing some of the vibe, like, and it's something that, you know, and you know me, man, I used to always cook, and, you know, I love my food, you know, and
Yeah,
everything about it, and on all these different branches, you know. So podcast is just one aspect. It's one thing I've built, and now it's a system that worked itself. You know what I mean? Like, I get a guest, I book him, boom, 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 everything's done. At one point, it felt so overwhelming, right? It's like, okay, I'm gonna get
yes.
this guy. How am I gonna
Now it's
record?
almost like
How
a
am I gonna?
relief to do it,
That's
right?
it, bro. Now it's just a system. The system's in place. You know what I mean? Equipment, everything that I need in order
Well said.
to put it out. But at the start, it wasn't. You know what I mean? So, like, you know, there's I've kind of lost track a little bit, but, you know, like,
Well, I remember
you
what you were
can't
saying
value,
before.
yeah,
Yeah, go on.
like you can't, you know, like, yeah. So the networking aspect, sorry, the networking aspect of it, like, for me, that's been the biggest form of currency for me. I know later on how I want to build this in accidentally, how I want to build wealth of what I'm doing, and actually make money and be successful and create this legacy that I keep envisioning in my head every night I go to sleep. You know what I mean? Not just for myself, but for my kids, and for the generation after, you know. And, like, just
I think
meeting all,
that's a great message, by the way, man,
yeah,
Jana. Like, just the message of making it bigger than you.
mm,
You know, like whenever you talk about this stuff, you always talk about, hey, man, it's for my kids. It's for
mm,
it's for a legacy. It's for the
mm,
generation after.
mm,
Like saying things like that, it helps you push through those hard times.
100%, because you can't get disheartened by the love that you think you should be receiving that you're not, because all it means is that you haven't connected with the right people yet. And when you do connect with the right people and they provide you with some platform, or, you know, or things to do certain things, you're like, wow, like, you know what I mean? But other people may not value it as success the way you do, because they don't see the work and they don't know how hard it is to think of something that you need to be courageous about, and then actually implementing it and going after it and getting it done. Just that process alone. You know what I mean? A lot of people actually don't know. They don't know what that feels like. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of people that do, you know, for every bunch that don't, there is. But that's where I feel like the flip side to now I know where we started. The flip side
with the
to
Rihanna stuff and seeing
yeah,
the makeup and
but like
yeah.
even just with people, the flip side is that people are afraid with that journey. People are afraid because it is a lonely journey, but then it also takes other people being there for you, and then some people don't want to accept the truth of certain people and relationships, and how not so much fake, but how um what's the word I'm looking for? Like it it's it was just a facade. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's just a
Yeah.
facade because you're doing things and you're hanging out and you're doing certain things that creates this false sense of um connection and vision, or this is the, we're all heading down this way, this is what we want. But when you do what you got to really do, you realize that it takes someone to really appreciate you and value you, to be there for you, and to have your back, because that's what
And that
that's what
makes
it
it,
takes.
yes.
And some people don't want to accept that. So what do? You go through the same fucking ugly whirlwind of acceptance, and knowing that there's a part of you that wants something, but then there's this comfort that this is what I know, this is all I know. You know what I
And
mean?
you
What
know
happens
what,
if I
man?
lose
Something
this,
really, and amen, man. And something like I think really valuable that helped me with breaking that cycle of it's almost like toxic comfort, where it keeps you
Mm,
in a place of good. Tony Robbins says the enemy of great is good. And one of the things that can help us break out of a place of being where it's good, but you know that you're missing out, is just recognizing the implications of your actions over time. It's like if you know that right now you're not honoring yourself, ask yourself the question, what do you think the impacts of that will be on yourself, on your self-esteem, on your family, on your work, on your confidence, say in 1 year, and really have a think about if you keep dishonoring yourself, where will you be in 1 year? And think about what that is, and then go, okay, well, if I was to continue that, where would I be in 5 years? And a lot of the guys who are coming to me are in their 30s because they've started to feel this way when they were like 25. But because they've kind of chosen to ignore it, by the time they get to 30 or 35, they're like, wow, like me not keeping it real to myself, like has cost me in my relationship. It's because I've not found a sense of there's something missing in my happiness. Uh, I'm not able to give my full self to my wife or to my partner, and therefore, like the fulfillment, there seems to be some kind of void, or I'm somehow not showing up the way I know I could at work, and it's because of not being real with ourselves. And like that, I think that is such an important message, man. The other thing I'll say, dude, of what you were saying about, see, it's so easy to idolize people, and it's easy to see someone on TV and go, oh, I could never be that person. But here's the thing, whether we are looking down on someone and judging them, or looking up at someone and idolizing them, either way, we are judging. Because if we're looking up and idolizing someone, that means we're judging ourselves. And if we're looking down, that means we're obviously judging someone else. But at the end of the day, it's all a judgment of ourselves.
mm.
Here's the truth. If you want me to say something a little bit more, a bit
Yeah,
more crazy, man.
yeah, you dropped that crazy shit, boy. I like
Bro,
that, man.
I
Come
think
on.
I think you're gonna like it. I think you're gonna like it. Like what you realize when you start to unpack the game, and like this is something I take the boys through. Like is you unpack how perception works, man. Like at a
Mm,
high level, how perception works is you've got 11 billion bits of information coming into us at any one time, which is too much. And so you have a function in your brain called the reticular activating system, the RAS, which helps filter and delete that information. The brain is primarily a deletion device because otherwise there's just too much info coming in at one time. And so we need a way to delete stuff to for us to be able to process it in our brain. And so this reticular activating system distorts, deletes, and generalizes information, this 11 billion bits of information, based off what do you think our values, our beliefs, our sense of self, our sense of the world, our past history, like our past experiences, everything that we see gets so interpreted, before it even lands into our internal representation of, what's going on. So, I'll I'll make this real for the boys, for example, at the retreat, and I'll tell them what I just said to you, and then I'll say, boys, fill this sentence in for me. The world is, you and me can do this together right now, right? Just use your first instinct, if you don't mind, Jay. Just
Yeah.
using your first, just
The
using your first
first
instinct. The world
instinct,
is, the
challenging.
world, the world. Sorry.
The world is challenging.
Beautiful,
Yeah.
right? So the world is challenging, right?
Yeah.
So Jay will say the world is challenging, and then I think that really fits in with Jay's personality because you like to go out there and seek challenges to help improve and grow yourself, right? And so if you have the perspective that the world is challenging, you will find the challenges, as opposed to the guy who thinks. So it's a true story. I had a guy who, you'd go around the room and someone, the world is beautiful, the world is huge, the world is challenging, the world is whatever, or, full of opportunity.
Mm.
One guy, I was going around the room and he goes, the world is confusing. And it's crazy because in the history of all my retreats ever, he's the one guy that got lost on the way to the accommodation. And guess what? His sense of belief is the world is confusing. And I'm like, wow, what are the odds? And you can
Yeah,
see
that's hilarious, man. Yeah.
crazy, man.
Yeah.
It was this beautifully poetic example in front of everyone to see. Like just by me saying this, right? If I was to tell you to look around your room right now and tell me what you saw that was blue, if I gave you 10 seconds to look around and see what was blue, and then you can do it now. Yeah, go for it. Like look around for blue anywhere. Have you done it?
Yeah.
Can you close your eyes for 1 second, Jay?
Yeah.
Tell me what you saw that was yellow.
You
got it, right?
Yeah.
Around, there's plenty of yellow now.
Yeah, that's plenty of yellow, brother. Yeah, right in front of you, bro.
Right. But
Funny enough,
like,
it's a Lord Ganesha statue, bro. So
you
what are
should have
the
stood
odds?
out there.
What are the odds, man? What are the odds?
So,
Hey.
it is seek and you shall find, but it's also seek and you shall find even if it's not there. Because I would bet you, man, like when you looked around for blue, you probably saw stuff that was navy, that was borderline, that was like maybe turquoise, but you were like, that's there's maybe stuff that was like pale or cream, and you're like, that's yellow, bro, that's yellow. And that's the way that our mind leads to sort of generalize information. And the thing is, man, like as a result of that, I'll have 5 different guys sitting there at the retreat, and I'll tell them, yes, we're all in the same reality, but there's actually 5 different realities being lived here right now. Because depending on what you value, what you focus on, how you think about yourself, how you think about the world, you will think and feel differently, and you'll show up. A multimillionaire, the way they think and feel about the world, the way they think and feel about themselves is different to you and I. And that's why they create their reality. They create the business connections, they have the confidence to show up the way they do, whatever, than the way, than the reality that we create. It all starts with our mind and how we project it. That's like one of the core things I show the boys in our retreat is like, well, if this is the future you're trying to get to, how do we reverse engineer the future to create who you need to be in order to achieve it? Like, what kind of belief systems do you need to have? Because if you think of yourself as I don't know, the world is scarce and the world is against me and all of those things. If we think, God bless, like Tupac had the belief system, towards the end, that it's me against the world, and he found more and more and more evidence to support that belief. In the same way, like for me, bro, when I was in year 12, I was doing 4 maths and 4 English, and I had this amazing teachers on both sides.
It's funny, bro. Just before you continue, you open up a can of worms in my head, but go on,
But
Biggie's
Ready to Die, no? Ready to Die was the last album he made, right? Like, dude, this is man, like the way that we think, these things, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. For me, my maths teacher, he retired in year 12 and he got replaced by someone else. and he wasn't as good. I started to not do as good. I ended up dropping out of 4 maths to do 3 maths. And I developed a simple little story in my head so innocently that, oh, Dim's better at English than he is at maths. I created the story. Lo and behold, I did so well at English, didn't do as well as maths. I got into aeronautical engineering, but I had this thought, I'm better at English than I am at maths though, right? So I started to like ace all of the written assessments in aero, but I started to do really poorly in all the technical assessments. I ended up dropping out of aero to do commerce because I'm better at English than I am at maths, bro. And I started to gun it at all the soft skills, all the communication, leadership, management, anything that was to do with English, I gunned it. Anything to do with technical, I did bad. And then when I went into my first job, they were really happy because they were like, oh, great, Tim, you're a non-technical project manager. We need people like you who have great soft skills and blah, blah, blah. And this story of, yep, I'm better at English than I'm at math, just kept perpetuating until it became an issue for me. When I was leaving corporate for good to do my own business, the biggest thing that was stopping me was my own technical ability. And I realized, holy shit, it's because back in year 12, I created this silly little thought in my head that I'm better at English than I am at maths, and it's bullshit. I didn't mean to create it. It was just created randomly. And I recognize I have to break that thought pattern. I need to create a new one, which is that I have the freaking technical ability of Bruce Wayne. I have the intelligence gifted by God. I created these affirmations for myself that I said to myself every day, and I still do affirmations to this day. They're on my screensaver on my phone, and I do it every morning, man. And as a result, like I brainwashed myself to think in the way that is conducive to creating the goals that I'm after. And as a result of those affirmations, man, for example, like I don't want to talk too much about money, on podcasts and stuff, but I've started to really create, like make the impact that I set out to make, like however many years ago, I was just a dude in corporate, just like anyone else. And I've just interrupted so many, and I'm slowly starting to stand out as like an authority in this field. But I built that, I earned that, just like you were talking about, like by the things that no one wanted to do, but we can all do that, which is beautiful. Where I was going with all of this, Jay, because I know you want to comment on the Tupac thing.
Yeah.
What I found, man, with whether we're inspired by someone or whether we're judging someone, at the end of the day, just like the perception is built, as I was saying, by our beliefs and values and blah blah blah. The truth is, when what we see in anyone else is really just us. We're just seeing ourselves in that person, and I prove it when I'm at the retreat, and I tell the boys, tell me what you like about Will Smith or Dwayne Johnson or something, or Tupac or something, right? And people will say different things, for like, if I was to ask you, Jay, like, what's your favorite thing about, like, can you give me your top 3 favorite things about Tupac, for example?
Top 3 things?
Yeah.
Oh, you're gonna laugh because I feel like you know me. Yeah. Well, definitely his fight for like just equality and civil rights and just that Black Panther mentality. You know what I mean? And I guess a lot of it is because that's how I kind of see, just not even just myself, but my community, my people's, I guess, struggle, right? And and so I definitely connected that aspect of it. And then, like, people talk about best rappers and whatever, and 100% there's better rappers, but the way someone, when someone says something and you can feel the way that they said it, and you can just connect with it. People misconstrue that, oh, I love, Tupac, and you know what I mean? There's different layers, but his rhyme scheme and his wordplay wasn't that of like a Biggie or a Big Pun or many Nas or many artists, if not, if you're going surely on that, he wouldn't even, possibly could not even be in the top 5, maybe not even top 10, depending on how you look at it. But the way he delivered what he said and his message stands above many, if not all. So
because of the soulful or go on. No, you go on.
Like just the way well, no, his ability to deliver his message in his music and how he did it, you know, just through the passion, you know what it's like when we have wild nights, man, and it's pumping, you know how it goes, you know, you could hear us from the, you know, you could hear us above, you know, put it this way, you would be able to hear one or two people, right? Go word for word in a party, or even say a small club, within say 50, 60 people, and you could hear them, you know what I mean? Because automatically, if you really think about it, when you hear a Puck song and you're feeling a bit you're feeling a bit nice, you had a whiskey, or had a little drink, and you're on edge, like a nice edge, you know what I mean? And you hear it, and there's only one, if not a couple of ways you could rap the way he raps, or kind of mimic the way that he delivers a song. You know what I mean? Because it's so remnant. Like, when you listen to a Puck song, there's going to be emotion. There's going to be this sense of hopelessness. There's going to be this sense of courage. There's going to be this sense of I don't give a fuck as well. All these different emotions. So, I just think the way, and that's why the motherfucker's got the praying hands at the
I
back
love it,
too.
man. I
Yeah,
love it. Yeah.
but and that's why, and it's funny, you even look at the people there, right? Just it gives you a sense. Look at Bob Marley, up front as well. So it's just the way that he delivered his message, I think, stood above many, if not the rest. You know what I mean? Just how he went about and the emotions that he used. But the third one would be, man, just the confidence, man. The confidence to just speak what you feel, whether it's right or wrong,
I
whether,
love this so
you know what I
much.
mean, whether it's agreed or not. But just that confidence to say what he thought, you know what I mean? Knowing that there might be consequences, knowing that there may be backlash, and potentially threat on his life, you know what I mean? But just had the confidence, and man, like, yeah, you open up a can of worms, man. But
Dude, bless you.
you think
I
about
could,
Black Lives Matter. You think about everything that's happened in America, but you just think about racial injustice, and you even think about how public it is now, right? Because of the ability to record or social media, or be able to post it right there in front of you, as opposed to the early 80s and 90s, where it was rare, right? To be able to see a lot of the things that we are seeing now. But just think how timeless his music is, but not even that, how relevant his music and message is to this
still,
day. To this day, man, as me and you are speaking, how relevant it is. Mike Tyson said it the best. He goes, they asked him, who's the better rapper, Biggie or Tupac? He goes, Biggie's the better rapper. And then he goes, but listen, he goes, when you're talking reach, when you're talking worldwide, he goes, to this day, he goes, I go to like London, or I go to, South America, or wherever, the weirdest countries, and they'll all ask what Tupac was like, and he said this in a podcast, you know what I mean? And that speaks volumes. That's bigger than music. To me, he was bigger than music. I don't see him as just the rapper Tupac that everyone else sees. No, he's a figure. He's a person that spoke about things that are happening to this day, and it's almost like a premonition. It's almost like he saw this. A lot of things he called it. He said this was going to happen. You know what I mean? Through his music, and so, and on the flip side, right? Dude died at 25 years old, bro. I was,
unbelievable.
I know. I
Unbelievable.
remember when I was 25, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I definitely ain't doing it. I wasn't doing any of
I
that
remember
shit.
when we turned 25
Yeah,
going, oh my God,
yeah,
to think that Tupac died at this age.
yeah. Exactly, man. You know what I mean? So, which means a bulk and a big part of his life was in his early 20s, man. Early 20s,
Yeah.
man. And a man speaking like he's lived a lifetime already.
And man, Jay, I mean, I mean, I've got to
Yeah,
stop myself from going down that journey.
yeah,
But like, but
yeah.
the reason I bring that up, dude, is because, like, because here's the thing, and I think people who are listening to this would agree. Every single one of us could speak for days about like what we loved about Tupac and
Mm,
all the things.
mm,
And where I was going with this example is like if we would ask four different people, we would get four different
mm,
beautiful
mm,
opinions
mm,
about the different qualities of Tupac because he had so many. Um, And that it's beautiful, because what you can see even from this example is the qualities that you see in Tupac, you were kind of self enough to see, is actually you. You're seeing yourself. Like, Tupac has so many qualities, but the ones that you picked out were the ones that are in you. Like, if you think about what you talked about, confidence, being raw, speaking your truth, being passionate, caring about a legacy, caring about reach, caring about something that's honest and deep and soulful. Like, this is Jana,
Mm.
this is who you're describing. And even if you look at the I think the first point was about the oppression of a community and finding for equality of your community, and you were self-aware enough to recognize, yeah, I love that because I see that myself doing that, and in the exact same way, man, like in the, for me, if I was to think about Tupac, man, I'll go on a tangent too, but
Yeah.
basically, yeah, I'll basically talk about traits that I have, but I see Tupac as doing it to a bigger and greater degree, and hence I admire it.
Mm.
Whereas someone who might be listening to this will have other traits
Mm.
which are also them. And
Mm.
where I'm going with all of this, and it's actually quite an empowering message, which is that whether whenever we're looking up at someone, all we're seeing is ourself, and this person is just doing it more, to a greater degree than we perceive we're doing it ourselves, and so we admire it. In the same way, and so, for example, so when we see Rihanna acting, like having a great makeup brand or whatever, if we had like, we can either have two reactions: either we admire it, or we get upset about it. If we admire it, it's because we've owned that part in ourselves. Like, so I spoke about Carl Jung and how we have all these different personality traits, and are we doing it in the light or in the dark? With Rihanna, if we have a positive response to seeing her with her makeup brand and get inspired, that means that we are doing whatever we're seeing in her in the light. We're positively doing it as well. But if we're seeing Rihanna having a makeup brand and us getting upset about it, that means we're doing it, but we're doing that trait in the dark. So, for example, I'll have to make this real and applicable for people listening. I'll have boys in the retreat, and I'll say, tell me someone that you really, really, really don't like. And they may say Donald Trump, for example, right? Like, I mean,
Yeah.
I hear all types of funny
Yeah.
shit,
Yeah. Yeah.
but like, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Let's say it was Donald Trump, and I'll ask them, and usually one of them will say, well, they'll say, well, it's because he's just so brash, and he's just so, like, he just speaks his mind too much. And basically, I recognize as soon as they say that, I'm like, that's a part of them that they haven't owned. Because usually the guys who get triggered by Donald Trump because he's brash and speaks his mind too much is usually someone who's lacking confidence within themselves. And so
Mm.
basically, they see Donald Trump doing it and they judge it because they haven't owned that trait within themselves. And basically, I say to them, well, tell me, where are you brash and speaking your mind? And they struggle in the beginning to find examples, but then they find out, oh man, I do this with my parents. Like, with my parents behind closed doors, I kind of act like a dick, and
Mm.
I don't listen to them, and I'm brash and I speak my mind, but I don't do it in public. And then I
Mm.
see someone like Donald doing it in public, and it makes me irk. But it makes me irk because basically that's a side of me that I haven't owned, and I'm not
Mm.
doing it in the light. And when
Mm.
you can help someone bring that into the light and own that part of themselves, suddenly you create someone who's able to be confident and more outspoken and say what he wants. And then suddenly he doesn't get triggered by Donald Trump anymore. Why? Because it was all we were seeing is us. Does that make
Mm.
sense to you?
100%. I mean, it's funny, bro, because I was just telling you earlier, I was reading Four Agreements, and
Yes.
a lot of that message is in that, like a lot of what the courage you don't have to do yourself, or even something that you might despise in yourself. Um, you see it in others, or you even, that's where you get real judgmental about it. More so is that, yeah, it's like, it goes back to, whether it's a podcasting or whatever it is, right? Like, I knew that mentally I needed to be strong and confident what I'm trying to achieve in what I'm doing. Otherwise, I will drown. I will drown in this vision and this idea that I'm trying to build, because all these people's opinions and what they think is going to affect me, you know what I mean, and impact me, and it's going to stop me from being able to go towards what I believe I can achieve through what I'm trying to build, you know what I mean. So it's funny, because that is something I've noticed a lot, you know what I mean, more so in recent years, but in even just in others, you know, and even in myself. I'm not going to sit here and be self-righteous, you know what I mean, because a lot of me getting to where I am now and how I feel now is a lot of fucking hard work with myself, you know what I mean, a lot of hard work, like,
And honest work.
and honest work, exactly. And you know, like it's like you know, me being open and honest, and I'm sure you are with Anna. 100%, I know you're with Anna, you know, and you know, with me, I'll be the same, you know, and being able to say things that make you feel vulnerable and make you look vulnerable, you know what I mean, and not wanting to feel like that, but having to speak it out. And then, you know, like you said, like therapy, it's like instantly that weight's off your shoulder, but you realize that you sometimes are upset with certain things because you don't, you know, you don't um have the courage to do it yourself, number one, or number two, just simply the fact that, you know, it's someone else, and how you feel about him, and how you feel about what they're doing, essentially is just a projection of how you feel about yourself,
Amen.
man, you know what I mean. And that's something that I learned, and that's something that helped me heal with how I felt, you know. There are a lot of things, man, there's a lot of decisions that I made, or a lot of things that I did that not so much I wish I can take back, but things that I feel like slowed the process down. But then you can also look at the other way and say, well, maybe I am where I'm meant to be at the time that I am, you know what I mean. And also a lot of future fear, like to attain and to be able to live out that vision that I have, that I believe that I can I can provide, and I can give to the world, and give to my family, and myself, my soul. And that's what I'm doing it for, you know, my soul. Like, um I know I've made peace with the fact that it might not happen tomorrow. I've made peace with the fact that it might not happen this year. I've made peace with the fact that it might not happen next year. And I've made peace with the fact that it might not happen till a few years. It might not happen till I'm 40. But I promised myself one thing, that when I get there, right, I'm still gonna drink and feel nice. You know what I mean? I'm still gonna celebrate. I've always visioned, you know, I have always had this vision of being on top of a boat with my mom. And it's like our boat, you know what I mean? It's funny, bro. It's the first time, you're the only person I'm saying it, other than probably one person, but I've always had this
Thank
vision.
you.
I've always had this vision, and it just always sticks out. And I always said, this is what I want to, I want to see out this image in real life. You know what I mean? Just being on top, like, and just, you know, taking the weather in, taking the energy from the forest, you know, like the greenery around, and just, you know what I mean? And and it's funny because I felt like that vision, and that when that moment happens, doesn't matter where I'm at in life or whether I've achieved it out, I feel like I could easily go hire a boat, you know what I mean, and live out this vision. But it's not
Yes.
how I want to live it out. You know, I always felt like when that moment comes, I'll be able to not just rent, you know what I mean? I'll be able to do more than that, you know what I mean? And really, you know, and that's the thing. And I want to spoil them. Same, you know, with my brother, like a lot of the game that I know, a lot of the rules to the game and the disciplines, and you know, and not only just from what he taught me, but you got to remember, being younger, you see their failures too, or what they see their failures as, or what they feel like they may be, and you're a fool if you can't see that and be like, nah, I gotta, you know. And that's free lessons that they're providing you through their own experiences, that as a sibling that you get to see, you know what I mean, and live out an experience. So you know, I made peace with all that. So I don't know when the end goal is. I don't know. I don't know when that moment will come, but I know now, and I know that I'm just enjoying the ride while it's now, and what comes out of it will come out of it. And if nothing comes out of it, nothing comes out of it. But I'm not worried about neither. I'm not worried about what's not going to come out of it. I'm not worried what's going to come out of it. I know that end of the day, this is where I'm at, and this is what I want to give. And it's slowly building. And I know that I'm going to
Putting
need,
the fullness into every day.
yeah. And like I know eventually I want to be people that I can pay to do the cinematography and the photography, and have a full team, and so I can focus just on the vision and the brand, and you know what they call the 4% needle. You know what I mean? How am I gonna bring money in, but how am I gonna do what I'm doing? You know what I mean? And keep living out this vision that I believe that I could build and give. You know what I mean? To what scale? Whether it's irrelevant to me. I don't even think about that. You know what I mean? I just think this is what I got to do. Eventually, I know that investors and, you know, the large scale, the bigger vision, and that's where I'm heading. And I know that's going to take time. You know what I mean? But I'm not worried about that. And that's something I learned about myself. Hard work was never an issue, but it's always spoken about as a fearful tactic and a tool to stop someone from being able to live out what they're trying to do. Oh, it's going to take hard work, Dim. Oh, you want to be a personal men's coach? You want to be a successful one like Tony Robbins and all these other guys? You know, it's going to be tough for them. You know what I mean?
And
But
risky and
and
whatever.
yeah,
Like,
and
yeah, it's going to be all of those things, bro.
yeah,
But if you're not happy, then you're
yeah.
fucked anyway.
But anything
Like,
you want is going to have those.
yeah, it doesn't
It's
matter.
going to require all these different aspects and all these different things, that the ones that we mentioned. It's going to take courage. It's going to take hard roads. It's going to take, you know, it's funny when the 50th podcast is happening, and I was still and Nush goes, you know, do you remember when you did your first one? And instantly, bro, like I remember, I remembered the pain, I remembered the emotions, I remembered the
The
relief from
stress,
the
but
stress,
yeah.
and like, where is this heading, and how am I gonna, you know, I always knew that I'll go back to work, and it'll be a side by side thing. I'm not stupid. I didn't think, oh, I'm gonna leave this, go do this, and it's gonna be successful. I knew, but I just needed space. I needed time to think. I needed clarity. I needed, like, you know, to be able to just be in my vision and my thoughts, and be like, how am I going to build the foundation that's going to take me to where I'm going? And so that whole year was about building the foundation. And once you build a foundation, then you know, okay, this is what I'm trying to achieve. This is what I'm trying to get at. This is the goals I'm trying to, and then at least, you know, you can knock it off week by week, day by day, months by months, and then still be able to sustain and have a job where it's, you know what I mean? People, it doesn't have to be one or the other. You know, eventually the goal is for you to be able to be on your own 2 feet with what I'm doing. You know what I mean? That is the goal. That's the end goal. You know what I mean? That's what I want my life to be. That's when I want to wake up every day. That's when I want to go to sleep. Is just everything that comes with this game, you know what I mean, and what I'm trying to achieve, and knowing that there's that the battles that I'm having now, the barriers that are there now, is going to be nothing compared to what I'm going to have later, and it's going to keep happening. You know what I mean? So it's irrelevant. Hard work is irrelevant. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta. That's you want results. You gotta put in hard work. So you gotta make peace with the fact that when you really want something, if you really want to achieve something that is you're so passionate about, just know that ain't no motherfucker gonna give it to you. You know what I mean? It's not gonna be given to you. You gotta fucking go there and you gotta fucking take it. You know what I mean? And that is something I made peace with. And that's something that I told myself. If you're gonna fucking do this, you're gonna fucking go through whatever emotions and whatever it is. And I know people ain't gonna give a fuck. I know people, you know, may not be, you know, may not even know, you know what I mean? And so it's, you got to be strong here. You have to, you know what I mean? Because you need that me against the world mentality. You know what I mean? Sometimes you need a bit of that, because that is what it's going to take, because it is you, it's I mean, not so much you against everyone else, but it's more you against you. But you need that mentality that, man, people are going to stop you from, you know, whether it's through
Yeah, and you
conversation,
can't
whether it's through thoughts,
exactly
whether it's through finger pointing, whether it's through, hey man,
through
like,
going,
how are
oh
you,
yeah,
why'd you
they
leave a
really
job,
need
why'd you leave
this.
a, you know, a
Through
six-figure
those
job
subtle
or whatever?
things,
Yeah,
you
exactly.
know,
And all
and
those
you have
things,
to be mentally strong for it, man.
deal with it. If you don't know how to, if you don't know how to, not so much block it out, like, I let it all in. I let all the hate in, I let all the love in. It doesn't matter. It's an interesting thing in the book that they said yesterday, like, regardless of someone saying, hey man, like, oh yeah, all good, all good. You what, yeah. Um um
In the book.
yeah, in the book, sorry, yeah. We, you know, it talks about whether someone says, hey man, good job, right? Good job, Dim, or bad job, Dim. You could have done it better, or you did a really good job. Don't don't like think not think nothing, but think nothing of either. Like don't react to either. Like if someone comes and says, "Hey, man, great," basically what he's alluding to is that if someone wants to be nice to you and say nice things, right? They'll say nice things. If they want to, if they're having a bad day and they want to feel like being a dickhead to you, they're going to be a
That's
dickhead to you.
beautifully said.
You know
That's
what I mean?
beautifully said.
So whether they say something nice about you, hey, great job, or whatever it is, like don't react to it too much in either way. You know what I mean? Because that same person will turn around and say, fuck you, Dim, when they feel like shitty, when they feel shitty about themselves. But when they're feeling good about themselves, they'll say nice things. You know what I
Man,
mean?
I've
And,
experienced the same
you know,
thing. I've experienced people,
yeah,
like on my posts and things like that. I
yeah,
see people who in the beginning they were really
yeah,
supporting it until the minute I said something triggering, and
yeah,
then I get a private message going,
yeah,
"Hey, dim, you know,"
yeah, yeah.
and because the thing is, if you're addicted to receiving that or you're getting a validation from that, the minute you don't, it takes you down. And
Mm,
so I couldn't agree more with you.
yeah,
Like the focus has to be within your circle of influence, and,
100%.
and which is
Yeah,
which is what you can do.
yeah. But listen, man, you know us, bro. You know us. We could go in all day, all night, all week, man. But bro, I just want to say, I know we talk on the phone and you know, I know we message once in a while or whatever it is, but I was actually telling someone the other day, like, and I was telling the mate that my mate I was training with today, who I was having on, and I said, like, it's funny, bro. Like, you know, we'll wrap it up soon. Going to this new gym, I'm a bit of an older head. You know, it's a new gym, and most of my life I've always followed, and I still do, a lot of the experienced guys, professional guys, just the way they look after themselves, how they carry themselves, how they train and work ethic. You know, all fascinates me, and I always pick it all apart. It's funny because a lot of the tools that I've learned, I use it. And I know that if I make time to use it, I can use it myself instead of like, you know, like for example, needing a personal trainer to be fit. You know, I know that if I wanted to, I've learned the tools to know how to, you know, stretch, how to look after, how to, you know what I mean? Because I picked it up along the way. But, you know, being at the new gym, having a lot of younger cats, like, you know, younger guys that are going through a lot of changes in their life, and talking to them and, you know, and even training with them. And, you know, they'll be like, man, they're like, Jay, they go, Jay, when you yell or when you scream or when we're doing sit-ups and we're fucked and we need to do a little bit, you know, we need to push ourselves, and it sounds so authentic. And I'm not trying to, like, you know, talk myself up. I'm just saying it's funny because um like they are receiving, I said to them, they know me for what I am now. And you know what I mean? Like who I'm trying to be and who I work every day and every week to be, through the bad and the good. You know what I mean? Through the good days and the bad days. But I said, the guy that I'm having on, he's seen me way before this fucking journey ever started. You know what I mean? And I
Bless
said
you,
it to
man.
someone else, like he's seen all the different layers and all the different aspects and all the different moments, and through the good and the bad. And I said, like, you know, I said to them, like, it's funny because they are receiving who I am now. You know what I mean? And so for them, it's like refreshing. It's for them, you know, because it's not only am I older head, but just, you know how I am, bro. When I talk, you know, whether it's with confidence or with purpose, or when I know, you know, and when I'm in the gym with them, whether it's, you know, training with them, pushing them, you know, like even one of my coaches said to Anusha in my last fight, which I never knew till she told me that night. She's like, she said to my coach, shout out to Coach Kyle, you know, how you feeling? He goes, man, I get more nervous when these guys are fighting as opposed to when I fought. But he goes, but she goes, you know, I love it when Jay comes to train, and you just know that, you just know you're going in for a fight. You know, he goes, I love the energy that he brings. The energy in the gym is always different when he's around, like, you know, and like it was one of the most beautiful things anyone could say to, you know, say about me. But I don't do it, I don't do it out of forces, and that's just who I am. And I just know that I want to give what I was taught. I want to give what I know. this is what I said to Rick in the last podcast was it's almost criminal not to. It's almost a crime not to be able to feed other people things that you love, so they can deal with certain situations or level up at a time that that you wish someone came and grabbed you and around the neck and said it. You know
I
what I mean?
know,
So
I know.
so what I'm trying to say is, bro, like I know what you're doing. I know that it comes from a great place, and I know you're giving these guys the best part of you because I know you. So it's irrelevant what anyone else thinks. What you write, what you say, how you message it, but I know the fabric of who you are because I met you at a time where not even just me, you were figuring shit out. You know what I mean? That's how long, way before,
Yes,
way
absolutely.
before motherfuckers were roaring in the beach and shit, bro. You know what I mean? We were showing love at, fucking Parramatta Westfields, and joining the army, you're thinking of joining the army, and so it's different. It hits you different. You know what I mean? And you deserve everything you're getting and everything you're gonna
Thank you.
get because I know, bro. I know where you're at. You know what I mean? And I know what you did to get to where you are. And that wasn't given to you. You went out and you fucking took it. But
Thanks, homie.
when I think back at history and people that will understand me and my journey, I know for a fact you always will because
I,
you're one of the first people that I ever really opened up to way before. Funny enough, you're a personal coach now, but you probably had those tendencies back then when we met at Town Center having coffee and shit. You know what I mean? And you were the first person that really let me know the way that I was traveling. You know what I mean? And not so much, oh, you're doing a good job, but more so through my personality, my patience, from my anger and darkness to the calm presence when I started, training and kickboxing and things like
yes,
that, like you articulated in a way that I really got to appreciate my journey as well. You know what I mean? And really appreciate that, hey, I am going about doing things the way I should be doing. You know what I mean? So I wish you nothing but the best, bro. And you deserve everything and more because I know, man, I know what you're doing. It comes from a really good place. So I know you don't let anyone tell you that, but I'm just saying, don't let any motherfucker in this world tell you otherwise, because not only just me, the people that have done it and the testimonials, they could speak for it themselves, um, and it doesn't matter, man. Like people are always gonna think one thing or another, but I know deep inside, man, that what you're doing, you know, it's something that I kind of ended off with just David Meltzer says is that his goal is to have to connect to have 1 billion people consciously connected. You know what I mean? And that's something I feel like is what you're doing. You know what I mean? Without whether you're aware of it or not, but the more people that you get consciously connected, through the things that you do, through pulling that facade down and digging deep into what's really holding them back. Um, you're essentially creating a larger energy field where people can feed off each other and people can network and people can build wealth off each other. You know what I mean? Through all the
thank you.
different things that they're doing, man. So, you know me, homie. I always got your back, man. But I know it's honest work, and I know that knowing you, I know there's no doubt in my mind. I know where you're heading, bro. So when you
Bless you,
do, when
man.
you get where and in the journey is obviously continuous, but when you get there, um, you'll know, man.
Thank you.
And I just wanted you to know that, man, that regardless of whatever, um, what you're doing is amazing, and you should never doubt yourself or never think otherwise. Not that you do, but you know, that's just
It
that's
means a
just
lot coming
that's just
from
big
you,
bro
man.
telling you.
No, I
Yeah,
appreciate that, man.
yeah,
Sincerely, it means so much coming from you because
mm,
you're also someone who's on the same journey,
yeah,
um, and you understand what it takes,
mm,
and it lands a lot differently when it comes from someone like you because
mm.
you recognize it, man. So thank you, Jay.
Nah, brother.
Thank
You go enjoy that fucking waterfront fucking view. You go, brother. And get in. And man, I'm sure we'll tee up soon, brother. And I always
Look
enjoy the
forward to it.
chats, and it's funny. It could be the same type of topics, but it's evolved over the time, and it's funny because it's only evolved because I think both of us have evolved, and even your understanding of what you do has
Of
evolved as
course,
well. And
of
it's
course.
amazing to see, man, that and all that tells me is you're someone that you're not stuck in your own, you're not stuck in your ways. You're always looking not only to improve yourself, but by doing so is helping and improving others, you know, always finding different ways to be able to, you know, create and build people, man. So keep doing your thing, bro. I know there's a lot of people that support you, but you know, I got your back.
And
Yeah.
thank you, man.
And
Thank you so much for having me again.
and we'll talk soon, bro.